are now listening to Human Beings.
We live, baby.
We're live.
Episode 19 with the homie, the OG homie,
yeah, man.
Mr. Joshua Colton.
Oh, the official
Appreciate
name.
you,
What's
dog.
up, boys?
Hell yeah.
Milk guns in the building.
No guns, baby. Hell yeah, let them know, bro. Thank you for coming on, man. We haven't chilled in a while, bro.
For real. It's been a
Years,
very long time.
years, for real.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen, well, I saw you that one time, was that like 2 years ago? I saw you one time for like an hour.
I don't recall.
That's how bad it was, man.
Yeah.
That's how bad it was. We gotta keep doing this, man. But thank you. We see you doing big things with your businesses, dog.
Working on it.
Yeah,
which
man.
are right now what
My
those-
businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Hot Sauce is the kind of the passion project.
Okay.
And then gutter contracting is what's paying the bills.
That's
kind
what's
of an odd mix, but I feel like it fits right in with the. You guys always have some entrepreneurial guys on the show, so
Definitely, bro.
Yeah.
It's a dope mix though. It's funny you say passion projects because that was the name of my uncreated carpentry handyman business was Passion Projects.
Was it? I think
Yeah.
I think I do remember.
I have
you
the
saying
I had
you
the
did
logo.
carpentry.
I started.
I wouldn't use that word. That's a little high level
Yeah,
word.
yeah.
But
The answer is yes.
But-
He wouldn't use the word.
Do you do jobs?
I've built more than he's built with wood. So yes. So I built a big chicken coop, like the one in my backyard. I called it the hidden village of the chickens. And then I also built my wooden fence and all that. But anyway,
so you're talking about for yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
But because of doing that, I got excited, and I was like, and at the time it was like during, when everything was going crazy and I wasn't working full time. So I was like, yo, I could do this.
Right.
And it would have been cool. But then I realized doing stuff for other people was not as much fun for me.
Yeah, so it wasn't it wouldn't have been passion.
Exactly.
Project. Yeah, doing work kind of like that, I could tell you right now, that's a bad name because it's not passion. Passion projects is when you do it for fun. When you do
Exactly.
it for a business, it's not passion. It's business.
So what's your
That's funny.
experience? How did you even start doing gutters? Because that came out of left field for me. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, what happened to the
Yeah.
hot sauce, the comic books?
left field
Like,
for me too. So I was doing Hot Sauce pretty much full time. I was working at like a juice bar locally. I stopped working there.
like a fruit juice bar.
Yeah. The official juice bar, smoothies, juices, all that, like cold pressed juice. I was like back in the kitchen. I was the one making the juices on the big $30,000 machine with pounds of stuff. Yeah, it's nice, good operation. New Moon Juice Bar. They're great on Edgewater. But
I'm gonna go today.
you're not going to go to Edgewater today. But besides the point. So I was working with them for a little while. I started doing Hot Sauce. When I stopped working with them, I was doing Hot Sauce kind of full time. Saw that I was able to live off of it. But let's say $1,000 came in and I had $800 in bills. So only $200 left to go back to buy the next batch of sauce. That kind of process repeated. After like 2 months, I realized I probably couldn't live off of this and grow the business at the same time.
Right.
So I needed another source of income so that, like I said, this is a passion project. So I couldn't just eat everything that was coming off of it. So I wasn't really sure what to do. I don't know. You know Dice. I don't know if you know Dice, but one of my homies since I was a little kid, essentially one of my brothers.
For sure.
He was doing work for a company putting gutter guards on.
Shout out Dice, by the way.
Shout out Dice. He was working for a company putting on gutter guards, which is essentially just like a topper on top of your gutters to make the leaves not fall in, so people don't have to go in there and clean it
So
out.
scamming people. No, I'm just playing.
I'm not gonna say anything here. It can be useful, but how much it costs probably not worth it. But anyways, so he was working for a business subcontracting for them. So he had his own business, and then he would just go to them. They'd give him a job, give him the material. He would go out and do it. He was one of the only guys doing it by himself. Most of the other guys have multiple people crews. So in the beginning, he pretty much just told me like, yo, if you want to come work with me, like it might work. So I asked him to show me the jobs he was working, how much money he was making, started doing some numbers. So he was pulling in a decent amount and figured, shit, even if we only make half of what you're making now, we could both survive off of that. But ideally, if I can increase your productivity, we can do more jobs to make more money. So I slid in with him, no job application,
Because he was running.
Yeah, it was his business.
Right.
He just went and picked up the job. So he could bring 5 guys with him, no guys with him. It didn't matter. So
No women?
I just, none you want to see. So I started going with him to the jobs. I'm not really a handy guy, but
Now you are,
I'm
right?
smart. Yeah, I've definitely gotten better, but he's real handy. So we balance each other out. We already kind of know each other real well. So we started working together, making enough money to live off of. So then that's kind of how I got into it. But obviously that was gutter guards. And we saw that the real money was in putting up the gutters themselves. And the same company we worked for that contracted the guards jobs also sold gutters. So we wanted to work our way into gutters. We started picking up small gutter jobs that we could just do off the back of his truck. But I mean, ideally, you need a gutter machine. It's like a $10,000 machine. You need
That
a
bends
trailer.
the tubing and stuff.
Yeah, like you take it as a coil. You get the gutter coil. You put it on the machine, and it bends it out in the K shape that most people's gutters are in. So we obviously didn't have any of that. We didn't have any capital for that. We were just kind of surviving at that point. But we got a cool opportunity working with this company that they had another crew. Some dude owns like 18 gutter trucks around the nation and just essentially rents them out to workers, and they get like a portion of the labor. So we started doing that, and it went pretty well. Well, transitioning from the gutter guards into that, the guy who had these trucks sitting around the country, he had one truck sitting in Orlando out of the same office we worked out of. And I guess the guy who was working it hurt his neck, and he couldn't continue running the truck. We stuck our necks out and kind of said, yo, we want to do this, and put it together. The rest is history. You know.
And this is pretty much what your survival job is, to get the bills paid. But your real passion is the hot sauce.
Correct.
But you have your own truck now.
Yeah. So we have our own trailer, truck. We have a gutter machine.
Cool.
So a year we worked under this other company who already had the truck, and we made 40%. Yeah, and we learned. We trained on somebody else's dime. We didn't have to pay for anything. We just did the work, and got a little loan, got our own. So we were like, yeah, we can make, instead of 40%, we can make this whole thing if we just had our own stuff. So we eventually got our own machine, our own truck.
Yeah,
and
that's super dope, bro.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you for doing that, man. Because when you first started doing the gutter work, I was like, this came out, and I never thought you doing gutters. And then, like you said, I never viewed you as like a handy person. It just never was something I paired together.
Right.
But then I saw, and at first I was like, oh, okay, he's just paying the bills. But then I saw like, oh, they're running their own shit now. Like, this is dope.
Yeah, no, like we're at a point now where we're trying to expand. We're looking at buying more trucks, hiring
employees.
some people.
Bro, that's fire. You have two businesses that are, I'm not going to say easily scalable, but the concept to scale them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like that's super dope, bro.
So in terms scalability wise, the hot sauce is kind of my investment, because I can sell hot sauce all around the country as long as I can produce it. So from one kitchen, I can just increase a batch size, double the amount of peppers that I put into a blender, and now I can scale that a lot easier. Gutters, we can scale it locally. Internationally, you're starting to look at a lot of overhead. You need trucks and machines and all that. That's
way more capital.
A whole lot more capital.
But even if you didn't ever even try to get to that level, that's a major operation to just be. Even if you didn't even expand Florida and just kept it central Florida.
100%.
That's crazy.
There's whole family businesses that are they just have a gutter machine, and dad and the son will go out, and from this time to this time in the morning, they'll go quote jobs, and then on 3 days a week from this time to this time, they'll go put the jobs up, and the whole family eats off that. That's their whole thing. Yeah, forever.
I think it's also interesting on how random that people can just fall into certain type of businesses randomly, just on their journey.
100%.
Just randomly meeting somebody, and it changed the trajectory of your whole life.
Yeah, and I think that's really important too, because everybody, when they're younger, they have aspirations of what they want to do and how they think they're going to accomplish it.
And I remember in high school, you were saying that you really wanted to be a gutter business owner.
Yeah, no, I totally saw it coming, but most people wouldn't, right? Like, they would really just, you leave the door open for opportunities, and if you're willing to do, like, because when I started even with Dice doing the filters on top of the gutters, there was no assurance, like tomorrow the jobs could dry up, or we really had to have a little bit of faith, like if we just keep doing this, because we're getting up at 6 a.m, we're coming home after 6 p.m. most days. Some days are just complete washes. We get up, we get a job, we drive out there, the job can't be done, we're 2 hours out, we spent $100 in gas, and now we got to go home and get nothing for it. But then there's other days where this job's super easy, and it pays really well still too. So it's like you got to take the wins and the losses.
People
together.
aren't willing to go through that sacrifice up front, though.
100%.
And it's scary, and that's the thing that I feel like people don't like. People, well, I think now people talk about it a lot more, but they talk about you just got to get through it. But some people don't talk about those moments of doubt or those moments of fear of like actually diving in. Like we all have those moments,
for sure.
And it's just a matter of getting over that, getting through it. And it's not like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't even question shit. It's like, nah, dude, you got people to feed.
Yeah.
You got people depending on you. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
I feel like it's harder to do by yourself too, which is a great thing about y'all pod because you have both. There's multiple people involved, but
I mean, in this case, it might be easier if he wasn't here. But
it might be easier to do the work sometimes. But even then, just the motivation to get up and come here is amplified by the fact that there's two of y'all. So
I agree. I don't like that you allowed him to move forward with that example.
He's not wrong. So.
But for real,
I've been working with you for a long time. I know that things are a lot harder when you're
bro.
involved.
You know what's funny? You say that. I actually, to this day, I don't know how. I mean, I do know how it comes up because I sing. I was singing out Alicia Keys at the shop.
Allegedly.
You're gonna talk about the hamster?
I was singing out Alicia Keys, bro, and people, they'll bring it up, be like, oh my, because I'll be jamming and I'll be belting it out in the shop. I don't care at all. You know what I'm saying? And then they're like, okay. I'm like, yo, I love Alicia Keys. Like, you don't understand. In 6th grade, me and my homeboy did a science fair project that had to do with a hamster, and I named her Alicia Keys.
Do you remember what the project was? Like, what was the science experiment?
I do not remember.
Something with her kids.
No, the kids happen on unexpectedly.
Really? I just know she ate them.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
Phil
don't remember
just
that?
have to do with Alicia Keys.
No,
That's what he named the hamster.
Yeah, I named the hamster Alicia Keys.
That's it. That's the only connection.
But
And he likes to sing.
No, it hit because he brought up working together, and we worked together on the project.
We did. That does actually kind of relate.
That's
sense.
why I brought it up, because he said we were working together.
We did work. I don't remember any work we actually did. I don't remember anything about the project.
I just remember the hamster.
Yeah, we got a hamster, and then Philby touched it. You're not supposed to touch the babies. You're not supposed to touch the little gummy babies, and the mom.
Yeah, I came home to basically a full baby hamster massacre, like a slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
The aquarium had blood splattered all over it. She had like at least 8 babies, and none were there when I got home from school.
I didn't know all that.
Them?
I don't. It might have been. I think that was it.
Yes.
I think that was it, but I don't remember.
Because they
smelled the human. Yeah, when they the same my baby.
But even if you don't separate them, I heard they'll still eat them shits. Like, you have to separate them. We'll have somebody fact check that later.
Oh, that might be true. I didn't do a lot of research in the 6th grade on why it happened, but
So I want to talk about your hot sauce, man.
Yeah.
all right.
I've tried all of them.
Okay.
I like all of them.
Agreed. Same.
What's your favorite then?
On the spot.
That's a good question. And I think, hold on, let me look at them real quick.
Oh my gosh, you ain't try them. You ain't try them.
It's been like a year because we took a hiatus.
Don't blame me.
Okay. My favorite is it's tough, bro. It's between Nova and Plus One.
Okay.
Astro is really good. I love jerk and curry and things like that.
Right.
But like for an every day on any meal,
Right.
I don't remember if it was Nova or Plus One. But
It's got to be the Plus One. I call that my everyday sauce. So
Okay.
It's got to be like it replaces your Tabascos and Srirachas and things like that.
I would
Which one's the one
remember
with
if
the
I
mango?
had it.
The mango is the Nova.
Nova.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's between those.
For me, it's Nova and Astro. Can you go into the different flavors?
Yeah. So
So you have 4 flavors, right?
4 flavors. I'll take it kind of from sweet to savory.
Mm-hmm.
So the sweetest and least spicy as well, because sweetness kind of dampens the spice as well. Is probably the VBQ.
Okay.
Which is
That one's
obviously
amazing.
BBQ right here.
Yeah,
Check
that's
it
a
out.
classic.
They're all good.
So VBQ, obviously, barbecue is kind of based in the name. I use a black garlic with it as well. So kind of your traditional sweet barbecue sauce and mixed with a little bit of black garlic. And the black garlic brings an umami flavor to the sauce. And it makes it almost like a Korean barbecue. And it's lightly spicy, and it uses the Plus One in it as well. So the VBQ is like a Plus One mixed with barbecue. Essentially, that's how you get the spice.
Okay.
Because there's nothing spicy in the barbecue that I put. I just add Plus One to it. And then the Nova is the other sweeter sauce and kind of less spicy. That one's a mango sweet and sour sauce. So it's got mango and ginger and obviously the peppers. And the The plus one is the everyday sauce. So that's kind of like the first savory and mildly spicy sauce. It's up there. I'd probably give it a 5 or 6 out of 10. That one uses roasted garlic, roasted turmeric, roasted pepper. So it's srirachas and Tabascos. A lot of the sauces people like have like a garlic base to them. So I like to take classic stuff that works and kind of put a twist on it. I feel like turmeric, you can taste a little bit of a difference, but it complements it really well. So it makes it a little bit unique for an everyday sauce. And then I also roast, almost in all the recipes, I roast everything. So you'll see a lot of black specks in the sauce, and that gives it a bit of a smokiness.
I love that.
Complexifies the flavor. Yeah, so that's kind of like one of my staples. And then the last sauce is Astro, which is a jerk and curry fusion. So all of the herbs and spices that you normally get in a jerk and a curry sauce fused together. Obviously, I'm half Jamaican, so the Caribbean side of me, those are like my 2 favorite classic Caribbean flavors.
Wagwan.
Yeah, so I mixed them together. And when I did it at first, it was just an experiment. I had never seen jerk and curry mixed together, so I kind of tried it and was like, oh, this is fire.
It's really good, dude. It's really good.
And that's also my spiciest one.
I actually, from the bottom of my heart, would rather have those sauces than anything I get in the store.
Appreciate that.
Way
Appreciate
better,
that.
bro.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, what even got you into hot sauce?
Well, hold on. Because I was gonna ask that too, but before you mentioned the ingredients, how do you source your ingredients? Because those are all like natural. You don't add any kind of chemicals and preservatives.
Right.
It's just straight herbs and spices.
Right. Depending
And
on what you
vegetables.
consider preservatives. Obviously, like lime juice and vinegar, those are preservatives, but they're
Like
not
natural
artificial.
preservatives,
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I actually source a lot of it from Publix.
Hell yeah. Shout out Publix.
Yeah, shout out Publix. Just because I'm not at a size yet where I can place custom orders that make sense for a lot of the ingredients. So I just go to Publix, and sometimes I have to clear out multiple Publixes. And I try and get like organic and, Florida raised, like Publix has like a Florida section. So I try and like use as much of that kind of stuff as possible.
Dope.
Peppers are kind of niche and unique. So I get them from wherever I can. I was growing them for a little while.
I was going to ask you, have you tried growing them yourself? What's up with that?
It's just a task. I was working with a farm for like
job,
6 months. Yeah, I was working with a farm for like 6 months, and we had a lot more than I could ever use peppers growing of different kind of peppers. So that was really nice. A friend of mine who's a agriculture guy, is a farmer on his free time. He put together a little project with a local farm that was looking for just to use their space. Essentially, they do like blueberry picking and strawberry picking. They didn't know what to do with the rest of their stuff, and so he set up like a whole pepper thing, and we had that going for a while. And then COVID happened, and he kind of went missing, and then there was no one to manage the actual farm.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
And you just never got back linked up with them, or what?
Well, I think at this point, I haven't checked in with them, but I know that their goal after that didn't do anything for so long was to get new crops, something else, not peppers in there. So they probably have some other company growing some stuff in there now. So I don't really know, but so that was nice while it lasted, because that's always the hardest thing to find is the peppers. But yeah, so essentially I use Publix. I do grow some of it still, like the turmeric. I don't need pounds and pounds and pounds of turmeric. So it a little bit goes a long way. So my mom has some stuff in the backyard. We grow a little bit of stuff, and so I use turmeric from her yard mostly. Yeah, so
and it's got mama's love on it.
Yeah,
you can't beat
facts.
that. Shout out mama.
And my boy Getro, you might know Getro from high school, but
I do remember
he's working on. Me and him were collaborating for a little while, and he's growing some peppers, and we'll see how that goes. He's got a good amount of land, so if
I was
he can
gonna
really
say it too, because I got a little garden going. I might be able to have to work something out.
I mean, if you can grow some peppers, if you got the green thumb and you can make it happen, I'll
growing
take them
right
from wherever
right
I
He
can
does
get
now.
not have a green thumb.
Yeah,
he thinks he
probably not.
does.
Right now, I'm growing jalapenos, bell peppers, which aren't applicable here. Maybe, I don't know. Do you put bell peppers?
No.
And I have cayenne peppers, but the ones I have didn't germinate, so I have to restart those.
Yeah, that's a problem.
But the jalapenos I'm excited for.
Yeah,
And I want to do banana peppers, but again, not applicable here.
How much research did you go into with trying to develop these like flavors? Like, how deep did you go into like the hot sauce world?
So in the start, none. Like
You were just like,
day
"Fuck it,
one
I'm just
was
doing hot
none.
sauce."
Yeah, so it started off kind of segueing into the question you asked earlier, how I got into hot sauce. So I didn't start off saying I want to make hot sauce. From when I was young, I've always done creative endeavors and books, comics, stories, things like that. So I was working on a comic book project with a local artist.
I remember that.
Yeah. And we were going in, like trying to pitch a comic to Image Comics. Like it was a really nice little project.
Oh, you went that far into that?
Oh, yeah. And I mean, we had like 18 pages done. Not by the end of it, we had like 18 pages like done.
I think I recall you mentioning something
posting,
about that.
I remember you showed me the pictures, like the illustrations and stuff. They were super
great.
cool stuff.
No, the artist is phenomenal.
Crazy
like,
stuff.
yeah, his level of detail is like up almost world class. So
that's got to be a future thing, by the way. Don't let that go.
What?
The comic
Oh, no.
creation.
Yeah, I'll segue into that later,
ahead.
but I'm still doing that. That's actually the real passion is the comic. So we'll work our way back there. But so I had a comic book project that I was working on, and one day me and the artist at the time we're putting in like probably 50 hours a week into this thing. Like while working, while doing whatever we had to do, I'd go pick him up, bring him to my house. He would sleep over. We worked on my iPad. And we were just putting the project together, but we had no title. And I always knew titles are really important to anime, comics, all of that kind of stuff. Most especially anime. Like I'm thinking of Toonami and like shows.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to think of something quirky and cool. And for like multiple days, we're trying to come up with a name for this comic.
Besides the names of animes now, the new
crazy,
anime,
right?
they're just like
parent
random
sentences. Yeah, like the time I killed your daughter in a dungeon or something.
Yeah. I'm like, what is this? They're
weird.
good. They're good
They're
though,
all
but it's
good.
like how to pick up a girl in a dungeon.
Yeah.
you
But I think
serious?
that it kind of shows you because it starts with like a Samurai Champloo or a Cowboy
Yeah.
Bebop, which are just words that are weird, don't mean anything, can only be related to that anime and nothing else. So I was kind of trying to do something in the vein of that. I wasn't trying to think of something that related to the story. I just wanted something catchy that like if you heard this, it could only be this comic.
Yeah.
And nothing was really coming up, and we pitched a bunch of ideas, and then one day, probably 2-day binge in multiple hours each day, we hadn't eaten. It was like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. We hadn't eaten all day.
You always did that, bro.
Yeah, no, I don't eat.
Never
That's
eat.
why I'm skinny, right? Yeah. So we hadn't eaten all day, and my girl comes and she made us some food, or she gave us some food, whatever it is. And I opened the fridge and I asked the artist, like, "Yo, you like sriracha?" And he's like, "Hell yeah, I love sriracha." And I was like, "All right, perfect." So I pulled the sriracha out, and we're both about to eat our bowls, Chipotle or whatever she made or got us. I don't remember now, but we slathered our food in the sriracha. And he starts eating it, and I start eating it, and we're just chilling, and we're like, you know that joy you get when you eat for the first time? You kind of dance, you do a little dance when something tastes good, and you're happy.
Definitely knows that.
Yeah. So we start doing the cha-cha, and the artist, not talking about the comic at all, he just says like sriracha, because obviously we're eating sriracha, Nova, which was like a name that I was kind of using at the time, and or still do. So sriracha, Nova, and he said cha-cha because we were just dancing. So he's like sriracha, Nova, cha-cha, and he just says it a couple times. And then we keep eating, and like an hour later, that shit is still in my head. I'm hearing sriracha, Nova, cha-cha, sriracha. So I was like, okay, I kind of like the flow of this. I write it down. The first time I wrote it down, I wrote it as one long word, sriracha, Nova, cha-cha. I was like, this looks retarded. I showed it to him, like, nah, that's not it. And then we keep talking, and I'm like, but wait, what if I break it up? I don't know why I didn't think to break it up the first time. It's sriracha, and then on another line, Nova, and then on another line, cha-cha. So I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. And we ended up really vibing with that name. It was super corny, super quirky, had nothing to do with this. There was no hot sauce in the story at the time. And, but we just liked it. So we ran with it. And a couple days go by, and I'm like, man, it'd be real cool. We got sriracha in the name. If we got sponsored by like a hot sauce company,
That would be
and we
fire.
sold hot sauce with the comic, that's just good marketing, good branding, all of the above. Go to a comic book convention. That's something that sets you apart. You know, you're trying to introduce a brand that doesn't already exist. You're doing something different. It might bring some attention. So the initial idea was just get sponsored by hot sauce with this comic, because I'm focused fully on the comic. But I worked at the juice bar, that same juice bar. I worked there at the time. And I don't know how it came about. Maybe I was talking to the chef at the juice bar or something, and I was just like, F it, I'm going to make my own sauce. So I go to make my own.
So it did happen the way that I said. It's like,
Right.
fuck it, I'm just gonna make hot sauce.
It started that way, and that's all. I really thought it was going to kind of end there. Thought it was going to be easy, like, oh, I'm going to leave stuff to ferment, I'm going to blend it up, put it in a bottle, and it's done. I start making some sauces with this chef at the juice bar that I work at, because he's made hot sauce at home before, and he was just interested in the project in general. And I kind of fell in love with the chemistry and one more ounce of garlic and the one less ounce of onion, and it changes the whole flavor. I was like a mad scientist.
Have you watched Food Wars?
I don't think so.
It's a cooking anime. You got to watch it.
Oh, cooking anime? No, I definitely haven't.
It's
seen
Chris's
that sounds
favorite
fire.
one.
It's fire. They do like battles of cooking, like one-on-one battles, and then they have official judges and like
Master
there's
Chef
rankings.
or Iron Chef
there's
or whatever.
rankings in this high school, whatever. It's legit. It's legit.
Yo,
'Cause that's what that reminded me.
Of that.
Every high school in Japan has
Yeah.
like a different thing that the whole high school does.
Yeah.
So that's pretty funny. No, I actually should check that out because doing comics and stuff
I'll send it to
and
you.
relating it to hot sauce, I want to be able to show cool food scenes. But anyways, so I'm making the sauce with this juice bar chef of mine. Starting to fall in love with the creative and chemistry aspect of just making something unique. At first, I was picking weird weird ingredients, and then I was making a sauce around that. So it was like I'd take beets. It's like, all right, how do I?
That sounds disgusting.
It started with color. Color was the main thing I wanted. So when I like Nova being like part of the name, I was like, oh, I want some galaxy looking hot sauce. So I was like, I want something that's like red on the bottom and like purple in the middle and like blue at the top, like galaxy looking.
Yeah.
So I started doing some research onto how to make that happen. Realize it's pretty much impossible, and even if you could do it, one, it would probably be unhealthy because whatever you have to put in there to get that unnatural color is not good for you. And two, naturally vinegar-based sauces, you're going to shake them up before you use them. You want to get all the stuff mixed up. So it's just going to turn purple or whatever, brown. Like
I could definitely see why that would excite you because even talking about it now, I'm like, damn, I wonder if I want to try making my own homemade hot sauce.
Oh yeah,
like,
it's
just
great.
For the crib.
It's great. It's super easy too. Yeah, you can. And the thing, it's very sandbox, so you can get as complicated or as simple as you want. You can just use pepper and vinegar and salt, and you got a sauce right there.
Right.
Or you can go crazy and roast some butter pecans, and you know what I mean. You can just go as crazy as you want.
I'll pitch you some ideas, man. I might sell you one.
You're not going to sell it to me, but I might make one of your ideas and let you try it before I sell it. But anyways, so you can put pretty much anything you want in there, and the more complex you make it, the more risk you run of like stuff going bad. So I mean, I went through like hundreds of different varieties of batches, trying mangoes, trying this, trying that, trying different amounts of all of them. And as I started to hone in on what I wanted, I also started doing research on the hot sauce industry, the history of hot sauce, and kind of like you were saying. So I started off just diving right in, like I'm just going to do this. And then as every step in, I'm like, oh, this is deeper than I thought. People,
it's all deep.
People, everything. You can get into fucking paper, and there's like 70 years worth of paper work you can do.
He's made too many Office references already. Beats, paper.
Oh, I don't watch The Office. So.
Oh my god, you don't?
No, so that's unintentional.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
let's go ahead and wrap this up.
Yeah,
Let's wrap it up.
That's a funny ass show.
Yeah.
No, I've seen it, and I know that it's funny, but I'm not like an Office guy. I don't really watch. I couldn't remember episodes or reference anything.
Yeah.
I know the characters.
When he said it, I thought you were doing it on purpose.
No, that's why I had to let that know for the record. That's not done on purpose. I don't even watch The Office.
So you started getting deep into the history, and what like was that more exciting to you finding out?
Yeah, definitely. So hot sauce is pretty interesting. Like random fact, right? Hot sauce is spicy to us, right?
Right.
It's only apparently, so it's the capsaicin in the peppers that's spicy. I don't know if you guys are aware
capsaicin,
of that. It's a chemical.
Okay.
It's a chemical compound in the pepper. It's in the saliva of the pepper. Most people think it's in the seeds, but it's in that juice that's kind of around the seeds and all around that whole pepper. So the saliva of the pepper has capsaicin in it, and when capsaicin touches our nerves, it for some reason makes them think that they're being burned. So you're physically feeling like you're being burned by heat. And there's no actual heat there. But I mean, that can go to the extent of you can have heart attacks. Your body can react in
As
the way
if
that it
there
was
is
really,
really.
you can get damage from that. So
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's why there's waivers to sign for really hot sauces. But
I did not even know that.
So think about nature, right? And seeds want to be propagated to grow and flourish. And it would seem kind of counterproductive to not want to be eaten or not want to be picked up. But hot pepper plants, I suppose, the capsaicin in them doesn't react to birds or essentially anything that's not a mammal, from what I understand. So like when we eat it, we get the hot, but birds can go eat peppers and then nothing happens.
What?
So then they fly away and poop the seeds out, and that's how the
what we would do
plants
normally
propagate.
to veggies and fruit.
Right.
So okay, so you're saying that it's not actually burning you, but you get red, so it's kind of tricking the nervous system.
100%. The nerves don't know the difference.
Mhm.
So the nerve is getting a signal like it's being burned.
That's
From what
crazy,
I
yeah.
understand, yeah. So it's
I guess
ridiculous.
I would equivalent it to maybe a hypnotist maybe convincing you mentally that something's going on that's not.
But it's
yeah,
not
I guess
mental.
yeah. If a hypnotist could convince you to the point where you have a heart attack for stress that you're not really under, then it would be something similar to that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so that was just a random fact. That was just one of the random facts that I found while learning about hot sauce after I started it. I also learned that the culture of hot sauce is really young. So I don't know exactly when, but like Tabasco, is 1800s, 1900s. It's fairly new, but even then, Tabasco's super basic. It's a liquidy sauce. It's like 4 ingredients. It's super simple. And it was really just like a way to preserve some flavor and have a little bit of kick to it. But the hot sauce industry, the artisanal hot sauces, kind of like craft beer level of hot sauce, they started popping up 10, 20 years ago. They're not really that old. Yeah, it's super fresh. Like the hot sauce, the industry, the market is growing drastically
There's the time
every year.
then,
Yeah. So it's an interesting field for sure. And not a lot has been done. I mean, a lot obviously has been done, don't get me wrong, but there's still a whole lot of room to experiment. And I think one of the things I learned paying attention to other small hot sauce companies and other artisanal hot sauce companies is a lot of them aren't that cool.
Yeah.
They're kind of lame. Like you go learn about the actual, like the sauce might taste good, but the brand, you can see why it's not taking off because it's like, all right, these guys are not really
It's nothing
thinking,
exciting, nothing fun.
It's not like a Nike or a Pepsi of hot sauce or whatever. There is, but a lot of people
Is it
aren't.
because there's older people that are in the industry, or you think it's just random that those type of people in the hot sauce industry are just not kind of...
So I think it's just that there hasn't, the culture for what hot sauce is kind of new. So, 2012, you might start seeing kids go to Comic-Con with like a Sriracha shirt on or like dressing up as a Sriracha bottle. But like that didn't exist in 1990. There was no...
I didn't even realize it was an early industry like that.
Yeah, it's super early. I didn't really know much about it myself. Like I ate hot sauce my whole life, but I never really looked into it. And then even like, Sriracha is probably the big hitter now. Obviously, it's where my name is stemmed from because Varacha, I never spoke about how it goes from Sriracha Nova Chacha to Varacha, but I essentially just slammed Sriracha and Nova together because I ended up not doing that comic and didn't want to use the same name.
That's fire, though. I love the name. The name is very catchy.
I was going to ask you where you came up with the name.
Yeah, so it's just Nova and Sriracha kind of mixed together. And it's really because when I made that Sriracha Nova Chacha comic with that artist, it was like a collaborative project. So I wouldn't want him to use the name on a project on his own after we separate. So I'm not going to use the name either. But the concept
came from it.
And I'm locked in on it. I'm still doing the hot sauce. So I just kind of kept running with that.
And then you got the V on the logo, but with the knives on there. That's right. That's what the...
No, it's a flame.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's just like a flame. So...
He was completely off.
No, I thought these aren't knives, though?
Those are knives. Yeah.
That's what
You're
I-
saying the
okay.
knives make a V. I thought you were saying there was a V with knives in front of it.
No, I was just saying, they make
see.
it up.
I never really thought of that.
This also, by the way, is fire. You said, who was it that you said made it?
Tony, yeah.
What, and he does this as a business now, too?
Yeah, so he's got an Instagram, Corporate Turtle.
Corp Turtle. Oh,
Corp
Corporate
Turtle. Or it might be Corp Turtle. Yeah, that might
Okay,
be.
I
I don't know
remember
exactly
now.
how it's spelled, but he doesn't really do it as like he's got a real. He's got a really good job, so he doesn't have time to make a whole business out of it. But he's phenomenal. He definitely knows what he's doing.
And this
He
comes
picks
out.
out different woods. Yeah.
Now, so this is the kind of stuff, well, not specifically this, but I mean, this is the type of stuff that I wanted to do because I really got in, I fell in love with woodworking. I still think
Right.
it's awesome. But then it like, again, it came down to the whole doing it for people and the time.
You wouldn't be able to
But-
live off of
but-
doing what you wanted doing that.
But his level, though, his level of quality.
Oh yeah, he's
is
up there. He's up there.
crazy, yeah.
But that's how Tony. If you know Tony, that's how he is with everything he does. He's an efficient guy, really smart. So yeah, I'd like to collaborate with him on anything that I can do.
This is super dope, man. Do you remember the spiciest or worst one that you've made? Like, do you have a specific time where you're like, oh, this was terrible?
Oh, worst or spiciest? What do you want?
Either, both. Give me both. Like one first. Let's say spiciest first.
All right. So spiciest, the spiciest recipe I ever made, actually just comes from using the spiciest pepper that I could find. So I went. This is actually kind of interesting story, at least to me.
Which is what pepper?
The Carolina Reaper. It's not currently the spiciest in the world,
scary.
But yeah, you don't know about the Reaper?
Nah.
You've never? Wow.
I'm not really big on.
I've heard
sauce.
of it.
I like spicy stuff.
So
but
you guys don't even know, like, so the Carolina Reaper was, I don't know what year it came onto the scene. There's a farmer in North Carolina named Smokin' Ed Curry. And
That's a great name.
He's like a mad scientist for peppers. He just breeds peppers together and makes spicier and spicier peppers. So
Pepper pimp.
prior to him, I believe the spiciest pepper in the world was the Trinidad scorpion pepper, which is very spicy and one of my favorites. The Astro was originally made with scorpion. The only reason it's not still is because I can't source scorpion very well. But
my bad.
No.
How do they test the hotness?
that's
Or do
kind
you know?
of no, I know. Well, I don't know how they do it all the time, but from what I understand, the Scoville units is where the scale comes from. If you guys are familiar with the term Scoville units, but the Scovilles, I believe, are really just kind of opinion based. So people take them and then just kind of like feels like this. I don't know exactly. I just know there's no way to scientifically prove
That's
how
what I was gonna
spicy
say.
or
If
not
the
spicy.
reason why it even is hot is only because it reacts to us,
Right.
Is like, well, the only thing that could test it is us,
Right.
So
That's
what I was thinking.
That's a good.
So
that's a
I'm
good
guessing
idea.
the people who are probably in that industry putting out those reviews probably are ones who have all so much a palate in this industry for so long.
I would assume.
and they all kind of have like a basic idea of the standard.
Yeah, I would
and then
assume.
they're trusted.
They're
for their
definitely not
opinion.
just going to random people on the street like, yo, 1 million to 2 million. What is this? Like,
Yeah.
no one's going to know. So there's got to be people that are familiar with it, but it's not as rigorous. You can't put it under a machine and find out what the Scoville units are going to be. So
It reminds me of a guy that my daughter likes to watch on YouTube who gets stung and bit by animals, like insects, and then rates the pain, which is crazy, the stuff that he does. But anyway, I'm like, how does he rate? Like, how does he remember? Like, okay, based on this last thing and this one.
Yeah.
But I guess if you do it enough times, you get. You're just like, yeah.
you lock into what that feels like, and you kind of make a memory note.
Yeah.
And there might be the same guy. I saw a guy recently put his hand in a box with 1,000 mosquitoes. Yeah.
If it is, I gotta watch that
Yeah,
one.
and he
'cause
just
he's
let 1,000 mosquitoes
bugging.
bite. Yeah, he got like 170 bites or something. It was crazy. His hand was
What the
crazy.
hell?
His hand was twitching in there. It was
Yeah,
wild.
this guy was doing like scorpions, hornets, giant Japanese hornets, like letting stuff sting him, and you get to see it up close, and he's pulling out the stinger, and he's just like flipping
I
out.
actually held a snake. I was telling him for the first time
Mm.
in my life the other day, and
Little one,
yeah.
Not one of
It
them-
was like this big,
right? Not
Yeah,
one of them
pretty
big
much.
yellow ones.
Skinny
No,
or
no,
fat? Skinny or fat?
It was like this,
Like a good. It had girth.
Like I had to hold it like this.
You know what kind it was?
Ball python.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You know about snakes.
I used to breed ball pythons.
Oh.
Well, I attempted to breed ball pythons. Is a better way to put it. When I was in Virginia, I had 8 of them at one time,
Oh, I think I remember your little snake phase
He lost a snake
and I
and
found it.
found it. How long ago?
in your crib.
Yeah. We went on a trip. We went to Tomorrow World, like an EDC festival or something like that in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And this is when I had all 8 of them, and one of them got out of the enclosure, which is common for them to do that. If you leave something available. So anyway, we got home and it wasn't there, and we were looking all over for it. And I think like 3 days later, we found it in behind the casing of the back of my oven. So like
He was just there chilling.
yeah, so you had because they just
didn't
like
move?
those spots. So I don't even remember how I found. I think I was just like, let me just check, like let me just look, because they could get in crazy places even though they're fat. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I pulled the thing out and I looked in the oven, not there. I looked under, and then all of a sudden I just noticed, if you look in the back panel, it looked like there was just a space there. And I looked, and sure enough,
Wow.
that's where he was. I had to like
Wow.
unscrew the panel and get him out.
Never would have expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, my cat went missing one time and fell in a chimney.
What?
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
outside?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, how?
Obviously, yeah. I don't even remember when he went outside. I don't know if we knew he even went outside. He was just gone for like 3 days, and we were like, all right, he ran away.
Was he was like stuck up high or like?
He must have been stuck up high, but he was found because he fell.
Oh, he died.
To the, no, he didn't die. He was chilling. He was straight chilling.
He just went extremes.
Yeah,
Oh shit, he died.
No, he survived. So we lived in a loft, I guess, or like a in-law suite. It was up above like a 3-bedroom house.
That's the one I went to.
Okay, well, we still live in that same house now, but we just live in the house.
Oh, okay,
under.
cool.
Yeah,
okay, so the exact same place.
Yeah,
okay.
literally the exact same
That's
place.
a dope, cool. That's a cool
It's
spot.
beautiful. Yeah,
and you still have
spot.
the upstairs too?
No, we swapped with the people who live downstairs.
Ah,
2
okay.
people live downstairs, my aunt and her boyfriend. And it was just the 2 of them in a larger space than they needed. And then I had a kid in a 1-bedroom upstairs. So it was like we swapped and they.
I like that.
less
That was a
bills.
cool vibe. That
Yeah, it was a great spot. It still is. So we were up there and we have a little balcony area, and our balcony is connected to the roof of the actual house. So the cat got outside of the house, got on the roof, and then I guess was playing around and dropped in the attic. And our tenant, the people who lived downstairs at the time, this was like over a year ago, and the lady who lived downstairs at the time, she didn't say anything the day of. 3 days go by. She did recall hearing a cat in her house for 3 days, but couldn't. Where's this cat coming from? Like, I just hear meowing.
She thinks she's tripping out.
Yeah, she's just like, just kind of leaves it. She knows we have cats upstairs, so maybe she chops it up to that. I don't know. But 3 days later, I guess he wiggles around enough, or maybe it wasn't even 3 days. I could be embellishing, but a good amount of time later, more than one day, and she just hears thump in the fireplace, because they have a fireplace obviously with a chimney.
Oh, thank God it wasn't cold.
Yeah, and so they had like stuff in front of the fireplace. She goes and moves it, and the cat's just chilling there.
This is a grown cat, not a baby cat.
Oh, he's gay, full grown.
He said he was gay. I was like, how do you know? What are you doing with the cat? He's a gay cat.
I'm not going to talk about that.
That's a wild one, man. I want to get a cat. We got 2 big dogs though, right? It's not a good time.
Oh, I don't want to talk about cats. I lost my cat.
Oh, sorry.
Hurts my heart.
Rest in peace.
That was a long time ago.
Hold on. I have another cat story while we're on the cats.
Yeah.
I had another cat that ran away, and months go by. I don't know how. I might embellish again, but I'm going to say 6 months go by, like a long time. We think this cat is gone for sure. 13-year-old cat goes away. Jocelyn and I are riding bikes at some point just around the neighborhood, and as we're riding back, we pass so our house is here, our neighbor across the street, and maybe 3 houses down to one direction. We're driving by our house, and in the window of the house, we see our cat, and we're like, that's Oreo. That was his name. We're like, that's Oreo. That has to be Oreo. We don't believe it at first, but we can't even go home at this point. We're like, that looks so much like Oreo. So we stop, put our bikes down on the street, walk up to the window where this cat is chilling, and the way he reacts, we're like, this cat knows us. This is Oreo. It's not another cat from this house. And
you stole him.
No, we let it rock because we didn't care for. We didn't.
You heartless.
He was
son of a bitch.
He left. No. First off, he left. He had an attitude and left. He left on bad terms.
That's what happened to Chris's cat.
He ran away.
No, that is not what happened.
He ran away and got found by like the crazy cat lady on the street. She literally had like a bunch of other cats. She obviously fed him, probably outside, and his lazy ass just started walking in. Yeah, he just started living there.
And then he saw you, and he was like, "Fuck, they found me."
Yeah, big facts. But we both of us agreed to let it live.
I'm just imagining the cat slowly pull up, and his eyes go wide open, like, "Oh shit,
they caught me." Yeah, he didn't think he'd ever see us again. 3 houses up.
I thought 3 houses away would be plenty of space.
Far enough. So we caught him, but we let him rock. Like, all right, you do you, we do us.
That's funny.
Yeah, and then a couple months later, we ended up in like an altercation outside with him, and told the lady that it doesn't matter. Point is, he ran away and found a new owner. We never took him back.
That's funny, bro.
Fuck that cat.
I actually wanted to get into. I'm very interested in how you got to the point of actually like producing the hot sauce, like getting the labels, getting the jars, like getting to that process of ordering it online.
Right.
Which is what is your website?
Varacha.com.
Varacha.com.
Yeah, Varacha.com is the website. It's on the bottles as well.
We'll tag it on here too. So they can get to it.
You can find it on the Instagram too, which is like Varacha.sauce.
On the Instagram.
Let's see. I don't I don't particularly remember like the exact process of how I got there, because I know I started obviously with the intention to do that. And I think just like anything else, before doing it, I started doing research. For example, I know I'm going to have to bottle it. So it's like, all right, what bottles do I want? I worked at a juice bar. The juice bar bottled juice, glass bottles in the juice. So I was just like, yo, where y'all buy your bottles from? And I go on that website, and it's like, oh, there's 5-ounce French round bottles and Boston rounds, and there's all these different shapes and sizes. And
I remember that part.
Yeah.
I really like those flask looking.
You remember them, right? Yeah. So I've gone through a couple different bottles. So I actually started off with
It's like
maple.
a manufacturer that mass produces the bottles. Okay.
Yeah. So there's like a couple of them that I've gone to throughout time, but I have one specifically that I go to now that I really like, because they have this specific style. This bottle that I have is a fancy woozy.
I like that too, though.
Most places you can't find. Yeah, so the woozy is the classic hot sauce bottle size, and the lids on them are usually a little thin, because normal like Tabascos and stuff are really liquidy. So you can have a real thin top and it just pours out. My sauces, I like to have them a little bit thicker, almost like barbecue-y. So I needed a wider base. So I have like a kind of a specialized bottle. Like the people I buy it from are the only ones I can find it at that price, at that volume. Like no one else I can get it from.
I like that too, by the way, the fact that you make them a little thicker, because the ones that are very watery,
Of course you do.
not, I can't even respond to that statement. I was going to try, and then I realized nothing I could say would help me.
No, it's not productive.
But the ones that make, like, let's say like Crystal or like Louisiana, the super liquidy ones, sometimes it's just like, it feels it's too watery.
They disappear. They kind of disappear in the food. I think they're really good on some things, like an egg sandwich in the morning, Crystals, and those really light. Like there's specific meals that they go well with. But I think Sriracha and a couple of these other guys, they have like Yellowbirds is like a more small scale but still really big hot sauce business, and theirs is in like a plastic squeeze bottle, and theirs is phenomenal, and it's like that thicker sauce kind of. So I essentially I want something that you can put on the top of your taco and you can still see it on top of the taco. It doesn't just like melt into the meat or the rice or whatever.
That's the thing. I like that it's a part of the meal. It doesn't become the meal. Like it's like something you're putting on it.
Right.
And it's adding to it.
Right.
And it's also it's not like, sometimes you taste these like thicker sauces and it kind of tastes like gooey, or like they're added. You could tell they add a bunch of shit to it,
right?
And
oils.
This tastes like some stuff that your mom would make at the house.
Yeah, no.
You know what I'm
So
saying?
essentially, every ingredient that I have in there is that thing. So like, if I say turmeric, I'm actually using turmeric root. Not even in that case, not even powder. I'm actually using physical turmeric, and I roast the turmeric, coat it in a little bit of oil, coat it in a little bit of salt, and roast it. So that gives you a different flavor profile than a turmeric juice or something. Like I don't know.
I don't think you told me your spiciest experience though. Like of what you told us about the scale. That's why you started.
Yeah,
telling
we
us.
talked about the scale. So I was asking if you guys knew about the Carolina Reaper, and I was starting to talk about Smokin' Ed and how he created it. But so the Carolina Reaper was the hottest pepper after the Scorpion for a long time. Now it's not necessarily the case, but I was living in Kentucky at the time, and I went to Kroger's. I think that's what their little Walmart is called. And they had Carolina Reapers in packages for sale. And the package had probably like 6 peppers in it, 7 peppers in it. And something went wrong in their systems. And let's say each package was of like 6 individual Reapers was supposed to cost like $10. Like they're expensive. And when I go there, the packages were somehow late. It was like $10 for the whole case. It was like they were super discounted. It was like 74 cents per pack. That was supposed to be $10. Yeah, I'm talking like 1,000% less.
Yeah.
So I knew it was a mistake. I literally went online, looked up those packets from the people that sell them to Kroger, and they were selling them for more than the whole price, the case price. And so I bought all of them, every single one that they had, which I normally do now. But at that time, I didn't really clean stuff out. So I cleaned them out. And I went home. I couldn't even use them all. I think I had like 6 packets in the end of this really expensive pepper that just went bad because I couldn't make enough sauce to use it. So I made it was a similar recipe to Astro.
Okay.
Astro didn't exist at the time. I was working on Astro at the time. It was called Gold Spark, and Yeah, so I made just kind of like a version of this Gold Spark or Astro sauce, but with the Reaper, and I'm telling you, like 1 spoon on
Of the whole sauce, like a spoonful of the sauce,
like a teaspoon of it on a burrito, and you're in pain.
Pain,
Yeah,
like
it was
bad.
Oh yeah, like I stopped using it. I didn't use it. I used it once or twice in the beginning when I made it, and never touched it again
Because it was that bad.
Oh yeah,
I was just gonna.
Way too
I
hot.
wanted to ask you too.
I'm getting hot.
What is your hot sauce tolerance like? Do you enjoy extremely hot stuff?
No.
Like that?
No, not really. So I'd say I have a median tolerance. So for me, it's I like.
Because jalapenos are hot for me.
That's very basic.
Yeah, no, that's not really.
Very
Well,
basic.
that varies. So a raw jalapeno can be very hot. Like the scale can go from 3,000 Scovilles to 50,000 Scovilles. I'm making those numbers up. But so you might have a batch, like I'll go to Tijuana Flats sometimes and eat it. And like if I take one of the little slices of pepper and eat it, and I'm like needing a drink for 10 minutes, and then I'll go to some other place and try the same slice of jalapeno and like literally
That's
nothing,
what
like bell
happened
pepper.
to me one time when I was younger. Someone dared me to eat a jalapeno,
Mm-hmm.
just a raw one, and I was in pain for 15 minutes. I was like, what the hell is going on? And I can eat jalapenos now, and I don't feel like it's that hot.
Yeah. Well, when you eat them, do you usually eat them vinegared, like out of the little vinegar jar? Or you just eat them raw, like a dry jalapeno?
I don't even know.
Yeah,
They were
it's
like-
raw. It's raw.
Right. Like vinegared, you know it's in a can.
Yeah,
like
no,
comes
it's not like
in a
that.
juice.
Yeah,
Yeah, no. So if it's not in the juice, because that'll water it down a little bit. But and then obviously if you eat the base of it, that's going to be a lot hotter because it's got a lot more of that
I
liquid.
think jalapeno is probably my favorite pepper, though.
Really?
Yeah, I
That's
know
basic.
it. I know
Have
it's
you-
basic. I
Have
know
you
it's basic.
had many peppers?
I've had a lot of peppers.
Okay.
None.
I
I haven't had those extreme ones. I'm just talking about as like my go-to pepper. Like it's the flavor.
Right.
It's not because it's super spicy.
Right.
It's just the flavor with the spice.
Right.
So that was your hottest. Have you had anything hotter than that, or is that the hottest thing you've ever had?
I may have tried a hot, like Dave's Insanity or something. Like there's brands out there that have sauces that were obviously made not to even taste good, just to burn your
I don't
your
want
pants
want
off.
that. I want the
Yeah,
flavor.
I hate that.
That's
So-
why I like yours too, because even the spicy ones are spicy, but the flavor is so good.
Yeah, so my motto with the hot sauce is actually flavor first, like my slogan or whatever.
Oh, that's
like
dope.
like what's McDonald's?
I don't even.
We don't
Yeah,
follow
we don't even.
McDonald's.
Talk
I was just
about
trying to
that.
think of a popular one where it's
Yeah.
like you can have what you want or whatever the fuck McDonald's says. Burger
I
King.
think that's Burger King.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you don't know. I'm
Yeah.
glad you don't know.
Yeah.
But so now, because flavor comes first, have you had? What was that batch that you've had that you were like, this is disgusting? I'm gonna guess it was the beets.
No. So beets is fine. Beets aren't that bad. Actually, the worst ingredient that I've put in a hot sauce was apples.
And it wasn't good.
Yeah, it was ass.
Like atrocious.
I think if I prepped them better, so the skin is the problem because the blender doesn't blend that
skin,
hard
right.
apple skin down to nothing. So it's almost like little seeds, like it's chunky and chewy. So it's like I can't even think about tasting the sauce when I have to fucking chew through applesauce to get to the flavor.
So it's a texture thing. It's not a flavor.
That was a texture thing, yeah. Flavor. I've definitely used some stuff that I don't like, but that's probably why I can't remember it because I don't like it.
Yeah.
Some kind of like herb or spice, or like I'll put eggnog in a thing or
Oh,
something.
stop it. Yeah, that's
I didn't mean eggnog, but,
But so, and I like that you have like your 4 staple ones. Do you plan on doing like any kind of limited edition runs of?
yeah. So I've done a couple of kind of limited edition runs. Back in the day when I had the flask bottles.
By the way, before that, why did you switch from those? Not because I like them both.
Yeah.
But what was your reason? Because those were really cool to me. I really like those.
Cost efficiency
okay.
mostly is what it comes down to. So the flask bottles, the box that they come in is about the same size, those and the flasks. So the flask bottles might come with 6 in the thing, and this will come with 12. And the price is it just makes more sense. For a time, I had both. So I had the flask and I had what I called the travel bottles. That's what I call these, like travel bottles for your bag, and then the flask was like what you keep at home to
I would
pull out at the
definitely
dinner
walk around
table.
with a bottle of that.
Yeah, I try to sometimes in my little bag, but so I had the travel bottles and then the flask, but then it was just too much keeping up with ordering both, keeping both in supply. It was like literally doubling the amount of work for the same products and the same whatever. So I just switched over to full-time travel size, but as I expand and get back into the full swing of things, I will bring out bigger size. Like I have a 32 ounce bottle now that I sell at like restaurants and stuff. It's fucking huge. It's a big bottle.
Are you in restaurants now?
Not Yes. So not like a lot. That juice bar that I used to work at, they use my sauce in their
That's dope.
like a couple of their recipes in the kitchen. So they order it by the gallon, and no, it's not selling on the they've offered for me to put it on the shelves there, but I'm just doing so much stuff I can't keep up with every little thing. So I will have it for sale there as well, and you can get it on their food, like their chickpea stuff has it in it. And then there's a place that you guys ever heard of East End Market in Winter Park?
I've heard of it through you.
Oh, okay, so it's a cool little spot that has like multiple shops in it, but upstairs they have like a mixture shop. It's like a bar, but also has a bunch of local products, and so we're in there as well.
Okay, that's dope.
Now, this operation is obviously pretty extensive. Are you doing this all by yourself? Because we have, we're doing it, me, Philby,
Right.
Jeremy,
Right.
and we're also meeting with guys now, Life Design Studios. Shout out
Right.
to Life Design Studios.
Shout
and
out.
Shout out.
Like
It's a lot.
getting that community together and like grouping together and getting help
Right.
makes the efficiency of scaling the business faster.
So much
it's
easier,
like,
yeah.
Have you been doing this your whole time, and this is where you've gotten to by yourself?
It's a combination of different things. So I definitely have had a lot of help throughout time. Not always like official help, like my partner working with me, we're making decisions together kind of thing. But even as far as like other local hot sauce businesses, just being able to ask them questions and them kind of tell me how they did things. And then also friends and family. When it comes to making the sauce, I obviously am in charge of everything, but if I need to, if there's a big thing coming in, if I know I'm going to make a huge batch, somebody will help me bottle, somebody will help me. I've done a lot of markets. I've had multiple people, 5 or 10 people, even like different markets, different times, helping me with this, helping me with that. So I definitely have help, but I would say actually that's probably been the biggest challenge with the brand is, like motivating yourself and knowing what to do, what's the best move to make next when you don't have anybody else to bounce an opinion off of. So I have a lot of people that will listen, but and I've even cycled through people that have been like potential partners, but life pulls people in different directions, and it's not like this is some super easy $1 million project. It's really from the ground up. Got to build the brand, build the recognition. So you have to really be passionate about it. So yeah.
Do you have to, being that it's a food product, but it's a hot sauce and the condiment technically, right? So do you have to worry about any kind of like regulations with health departments and manufacturing? How does that work? Because you're doing your own thing.
So because I have a vinegar-based sauce, it's a little different than like a mayonnaise or a barbecue, like a classic barbecue that isn't vinegar-based. So what this is considered is an acidified food. So acidified foods are foods that sit at like 4.6 or under on the pH scale. And that essentially means they're like shelf stable for the most part. So cottage law obviously covers like what a lot of people are able to do. There are definitely regulations if I want to do wholesale. So like to do markets and things like that, like just sell myself, like for me to sell to you, there's not really a whole lot of regulation because you're making the transaction with me. But I can't really you can't do wholesale when you're making it out of your kitchen necessarily, because then you're giving it to someone else who's then selling it to the person. So they need to be able to trace it back to you if somebody gets sick off of it. So I've
and they have to like audit your kitchen area.
Yeah, so they're supposed to do like an inspection. So
inspection, that's the word.
Yeah, so I don't have like my own kitchen that I've like bought and invested in. I've used home kitchens for many periods of time, and I've also used other local businesses' kitchens, like that juice bar. I used their kitchen a little bit in the beginning. I worked for a catering company for a long time, and they kind of gave me the green light to like in the off hours make sauce out of there. Yeah, so it's like I've always made the sauce when I need to out of like commercial kitchens, especially now that I want to get into wholesale. But I'm actually looking to do something more permanent. So yeah, that's what I was talking to you about before, where I said I'm working on something, but I don't really want to talk about it yet, or what I like to let things happen. So I'm essentially, I can't make the sauce forever. So I'm really trying to scout and find without having to build my own kitchen and find my own chef and whatever, find somewhere that they already have all that stuff established, and we can collaborate and essentially I can make them make the sauce, but the same. I've been doing it for 5 years now, so I'm going to make sure they make it exactly how I make it.
Now, would you be worried about the integrity of that corporation? Because that would be, especially when you're doing something so specific and natural and healthy, going to anybody to scale it or outsource it. My first concern would be like, they don't care about your sauce. You know? They just worry about the contract you have.
And I think that's true. They don't care about your sauce if you don't care about your sauce. But if you come to them and you tell them what you want, and if you're specifically trying to do things that they don't normally do, most of these places, the big ones, will accommodate. Like, oh, you don't want to use one of our set garlic producer, like the people we get our garlic from, you want this specific garlic that you use, we'll do that. We'll go order it from where you order it from, but we pay this, and we'd have to pay this to use it from this company. So if you're willing to pay that extra 50 cents per bottle for that one ingredient that you want, then they'll work. Like, so it's really up to you. Yeah. However much integrity you draw the line at is where they'll meet you.
I was going to say, because that would be, you, especially because you got two good, large scaling things going on. That would, for me personally, that would be the hardest part for me, is like, damn, I really want to level this up and I really want these people to do it. But you put your heart and soul over years to do this stuff, and now to give it to somebody, be like, okay, I'm trusting them to make my sauce. Like, that just seems difficult. But at some point you have to do it. And I guess it's just a matter of how much you're willing to be there on their ass, like testing it, making sure everything is good. And
for sure, that's something that could be difficult. But in all honesty, if once you learn how to do it and you hone in on it, it's not that difficult. So I make them make the sauce. They try it their own way. They're going to give me a sample of it, and then I'm going to test it. And if it doesn't seem up to par to what I'm doing, I'm going to tell them. Essentially, I'm going to tell them what to do to fix it, or we'll work on it. But yeah, so that's something that can be dealt with.
Now, you mentioned something earlier that I want to ask about, because you said I didn't want to talk about it. This thing coming up, right? That's cool. That's not what I'm going to touch on necessarily. You talk about whatever you want. But the hustle and silence mentality.
Okay.
How do you guys feel about that? Because that's something that comes up a lot, especially on social media. And then everybody's an entrepreneur these days. Right. So it's like, don't tell nobody what you got going on. Move in silence. You don't do your thing. Don't let nobody know. They're going to shit on you. They're going to put bad energy out for you. They're hating on you. Don't let nobody know. Just do your thing. Get your bag. Don't tell nobody nothing. Like, right? How do y'all feel about that? Because I hate that shit. So I hate it personally, but it's a personal thing.
I feel like Chris probably is not a fan of that either, because I feel like both of you guys are very much children of manifestation. So you guys are more so of the mindset that, like, I need to speak something into existence. Yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
But I know it's personal though.
Personally, I am the first example though. I'm more of
move in silence.
100%. And it's not even because people are going to prey on your downfall, or none of that's really what bothers me.
That don't make you religious, man.
No.
I'm so hyped.
So I personally don't care about that aspect of it. For me, the reason I like to keep things close to the heart is I feel like it gives you, I've seen a lot of people who have ideas, like you were saying, all these pipe dreams, they're going to do this, going to do that. And I feel like they talk about it and then they don't follow up.
They never do anything.
Right. And honestly, it's the same as talking about your relationship online to me. That might seem like a completely unrelated thing. But to me, you talk about your relationship online, and now there's just aspects of it that you have to deal with that are private.
I'm with you on that. Yeah. I move my relationship in silence. Nothing else.
Right.
But I mean, because it has nothing to do with it.
But in your relationship, if you're going to get married, I don't think there's anything wrong with, like, oh, we're going to get married. Like, you can talk about things you hit. Yeah. So to me, the business is the same way. Once I get there, I'm not going to say, I'm about to propose. I'm going to just go do it. And then once I'm there, then I make the post or I make the celebration. So I'll celebrate publicly. But I feel like maybe it's just me. I feel like a lot of people that are lazy at heart, if they talk about what they're doing, it almost gives them like the dopamine hit that they're doing it. Like, oh yeah, I'm networking, I'm building
for sure.
And then they don't go build anything. Yeah. They just talk about it all the time.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
For me, again, for me, when I look at those people, it's more like I look at who's saying it. Right. So if you are the person who's saying stuff and not doing anything, then I will clearly see that. Right. Versus for me, I kind of feel personally that if I don't, when I do move in silence, because my parents kind of always not like focus hard on it, but they were kind of always like, oh, don't count your chickens before they hatch. Don't talk about that. It hasn't happened.
Yeah,
yet,
I get that from them. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And I get it.
Yeah, they're private people.
Yeah, and I get that. But for me, it's always like, I'm excited about this and I'm trying to put everything I have into it.
Right.
And I want to make sure it's always at the front of my mind and that I'm like, this is what I'm working on. This is what I'm doing.
Okay.
And I know maybe obstacles will come up. I might get, let's say the podcast, right? We went on a 9-month hiatus. We didn't see that coming. But that didn't mean I wasn't like, still the whole time, not through that 9 months, I didn't think we didn't have a podcast.
Right.
It was like, oh yeah, we got a podcast. We haven't done it in a while. We got this going on. Boom. But I feel like for me talking about it, like you said, is more of the more I talk about it, the more I'm moving towards it. Whereas if I don't talk about it, or if I feel like I'm trying to not until it happens, then I feel like I'm working out of fear.
Yeah, like you're scared of it not working.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel that too. And I completely, sorry if you were about to come in, but I feel you. And I think that being goal oriented is the only way to go as a human being, the way our minds work, the way we think about things. Hey, got you. So the way we work is you can only go somewhere that you're looking at.
Exactly.
So if I'm not facing a certain direction, I'll never get there. So I don't think there's anything wrong with waking up and in the mirror telling yourself, I have a podcast, I'm going to do this, I'm building this. I definitely believe in that kind of like just keeping your head on the right track. Otherwise, you're just going to go fuck off and do whatever you want.
I think it's also the intention behind if you're publicly talking about
exactly
it, stuff like that. Because if, like, let's say for us, we're talking about, we're going to start a podcast, we're doing this, we're doing it because we want people to know we're going to do it. And there's a purpose behind that. But if you're saying, hey, I'm going to create this, but there's no real reason to bring that up to say you're going to do that.
Right.
Then it's a matter of you're just trying to flex or get attention and stuff like that.
Right.
Which, like for me and all the stuff that I say, I might communicate it. I mean, I've communicated a lot on the podcast, but like more for my personal friends, and I'll tell them because I'm practicing also talking.
Right.
I look at it as a practice of increasing the skill of language to talk, and then on top of that, seeing what they think, and maybe it'll alter my vision a bit on seeing what they see.
They give you feedback like, oh, are you guys going to do this? Are you going to do this? And you're like, oh, I never thought of that.
Yeah. Or I'm telling them because I'm trying to motivate them because I want them to join me.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a purpose behind it.
Right.
So as a difference between I think that's all it really comes down to. Like moving in silence, if it's something that you don't really need to be publicly coming out and saying.
Right.
Yeah.
But like if you're going to do it anyways and it doesn't matter what people are about to say, if you don't need any constructive criticism, why talk about it until it's ready?
See, I 100% feel you. However, I do it anyway because it's just
but you're also for you when you say it though, you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Like for me, when I say I'm going to do it, like I'm not saying, oh, I'm doing it right now.
Right.
It's like, it might take me 10, 20 years, but I know I'm going to do it.
Never going to stop trying.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, by the way, we still got to do a trip to Cali one of these days. We owe each other one.
Facts, yeah.
But it's funny you all say that because I actually do this all the time in my head, like my inner monologue, right?
Okay.
I'll be thinking, I'll give you an example if I can remember it soon, but I'll be thinking, let's say I'm at work, right? I'm at the barbershop cutting hair. My boy Gonzo, he cuts next to me. And, we both have our own conversations with our clients. And then sometimes if nobody's talking, we might converse with each other or whatever, or have a group conversation, whatever. So sometimes in my head, I'll be like, oh, I'm going to tell him this. But then I'll think, maybe I'll tell him later. Maybe I won't tell him in front of the clients, or maybe we'll just talk about it later, or maybe I just won't tell him at all. I'll wait till this.
Okay.
And then 35 seconds later, I tell him. It doesn't matter. It's like I can't help but talk about it because I'm excited about it and I want to talk about it. I just want to talk about it.
It's because you have an immature soul.
Yeah, sure.
That's what a tarot reader would tell
I feel like if I don't talk about it, I'm bored. It's like, this is what I'm excited about. This is what I'm doing. I already know the information myself. I don't care if I know about it.
Yeah.
I want to talk about
like
it.
Like a 4-year-old.
Yeah, exactly. Like
I don't care if you're in the middle of a conversation right now. You need to hear this.
That's not what I'm talking about.
No, I mean, you're more mature about it, but
but my reference wasn't about like the timing of bringing it up. It was just like that I decided I wasn't going to tell him until a later time. But then I just decide, no, I'm going to tell
No,
him.
I'm talking about just the ambition of not being able to hold it in. Like
Oh,
that,
right.
I have something I want to say and I can't bottle it up. It has to come out. That's what I meant.
Yeah,
by
because I feel like I'm holding on to it for no reason.
Right.
Like I'm just keeping a secret that's not even a secret. It's just like, why would I not say it? Like if I'm thinking about it.
Oh, so you gossip.
No, that's a different story.
Can't tell you nothing.
I'll tell you something if it's factual and has to do with it, but I'm not going to go like gossip. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I have to. If there's no reason that I think you shouldn't know about something that's happening, then they have no reason to not tell you about it because I'm just talking to you.
Right.
You know. Now I have talked to people plenty of times who you know when they talk about stuff that they're doing, you can tell they're trying to impress you with what they're doing.
Okay.
It's like, oh, look at what I'm doing. Look how cool I am. This is what I did, and I did this, and I achieved
I know
this.
exactly what you're talking
That's what
about.
I was pretty much
Yeah, I know. I know that's
yeah.
what you're saying, but I'm just specifying the fact that because you can still be excited and talk about stuff that you don't need to know about, but it's not because I want you to think that I'm cool,
Right.
Or to
There's a
think that
difference between being excited and bragging.
Exactly,
Or like
yeah.
thinking you're bragging. Like
or like if you ask me, oh, you know, what are you doing this, or how have you gone from here to here? I'll tell you everything I've done to get there. I'm not telling you because I want you to think I'm awesome.
Right.
I'm telling you because I'm sharing my story.
Right.
If you're not interested, then don't ask me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And I feel like a lot of the people that do it to brag, they don't get asked. They will unprompted. They'll just start telling you something, and even while listening to it, you're like, why do I care about what this person thinks of you? Or like, it'll just be an opinion that doesn't matter, and you can it right away. You can tell it's social.
Yeah.
Like this isn't about
that. I only do to my friends. Like to you guys, I'll tell you about some shit you didn't ask me about. But like to some people who.
But the way you do it is what's important. So you just telling me something you find interesting is different than you telling me something that when I'm done and I analyze the whole thing, I've learned nothing from it except that you're cool.
Yeah.
Like that's what you want me to learn. Like, oh wow, she was really into you. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is, like whatever lie you're coming up with, or it might not even be a lie, but whatever you're embellishing. Yeah. It's like okay.
And when you get rid of the conversation of the bragging and all that, they pretty much unconsciously bringing that up for no reason. For your ego, and you start talking with people that are beyond that, or like they're thinking, like they're talking about the stuff they're trying to do to create a vision.
Right.
Like for instance, we had a meeting with like Design Studios, and we're all talking about it's not bragging.
Right.
We're telling everybody what is our vision.
Right.
Because we want to hear what you have to say about it.
You're communicating your ambition.
Exactly.
Right.
And getting like talking with people like that can put aside their ego and they're trying to create a vision. That is what like creates progress.
Yeah. And
the benefit of networking.
Right.
Because that is like from what I've been learning, because I've been always a solo guy.
Right.
For a long time. Like a solo guy.
Until like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
No. Well, I'm still kind of a solo guy. It's
right.
Because I'm very particular in what I want. It's like, all right, what does it benefit? How does it benefit you? Because I feel like you're not going to want to do it.
Right.
So I was like, I'll just take on the extra work.
Right.
And that's the way I am.
I feel you.
But obviously, I've been learning to let loose of that, and that perfectionist type of thing where I want it this way. I want to make sure it's this way, because then you're never going to get a business or a product.
No, that's where I keep
doing that.
Yeah, kind of, yeah, because you will accept anything. Doesn't matter how bad it is. Yeah.
And when you get in that connection, I was thinking about this actually after talking with a bunch of people the other day. Is that like when you get into a vision and you get that help and you get the partnerships of people that are on the same wavelength as you, it's like
mentally more so.
Yeah. So the analogy is like a musical is like if every person was an instrument, and being on the same wavelength and creating a beautiful song symphony, together. Yeah. A symphony together. That creates a great vision together.
Right. That creates something way more than you could ever do by yourself. Yeah.
Exactly.
And what's great about the podcast that you guys have is you're not stuck in a particular lane. You're not like, oh, we're a sneaker podcast, so we only interview guys that sell sneakers or make sneakers or like sneakers. It's like human beings. That's pretty general. And obviously you're not totally general. You're not just like, we'll talk about you'll talk about anything, but it'll come through the lens of what you guys bring to the table regardless.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad that it's cool that you actually got exactly what we were trying to capture
Yeah,
without us ever telling you.
That's because you guys have done a good job. I'm not guessing that. I'm watching the show and I can see the brand.
Thank you, man.
I don't need to be told what the brand is. I can experience it just by watching a show.
That's dope.
So you guys bring in people that are aligned with that. And what you end up getting is like kind of more entrepreneurial people, but not like some A-class, A-level celebrities or millionaires or whatever. It's just like people from the city that we're in, but not regular people from the city that we're in. People that have ambition, like you're saying, people that are trying to build something. And you keep doing that over and over and over. And eventually you're going to meet.
Have your network.
What's the name of it? The network? Life Design. Eventually you guys are going to stumble into a Life Design naturally. Like you just keep talking to people, especially doing it with another guy who has a podcast that's similar to yours.
They both have podcasts. There's 2 podcasts in there right now.
Right.
So it's crazy.
So that lines up perfectly. Like you guys have the same goal, the same everything.
Shout out Jay and Johnny.
Jay and Johnny, shout out. I enjoyed your interview. I liked we talked earlier about what was your favorite. I really like a lot of them.
But that was your favorite. The last one was your favorite.
That was my favorite so far, but it might just be whatever recency bias or whatever the term is for like it's the most recent one I watched. But
you watched them all, everyone?
I don't know if I've watched all of them because I don't keep track by number. I just on my YouTube. I've watched a lot of them for sure. I've seen. I don't remember names very well, so I remember the fighter.
We appreciate you watching it.
Yeah, for
fire
sure.
truck guy. Yeah.
Fire truck guy. Shout out
My dog.
Camacho. We got Camacho right here.
Camacho, my dog. I actually went and took a class at the Jungle. Thanks,
yeah?
Thanks to your
It's
talk.
fun, right?
Yeah. I like it a lot. If I had more free time, I would go
That's
there
where
more
I am
often.
right now, yeah.
I really like it.
So that's interesting too that you're just randomly clicking episodes because to me it's like a linear thing, like because we're the ones doing it.
Right.
So I feel like it's a progression versus for you it's just like nope, totally separate episode.
Well, no, I think at this point now I'm online with you guys.
Oh,
so
okay.
I came in. I heard like the first couple, let it rock, and then when you guys came back with the video, I came in at probably 8 or 9 or something. So then you had 13 out, I think, when I watched 8 or 9. So I'm like bouncing back and forth, 13, then 11, then 10. And then when 14 comes out, I'm on 14. Then when 15 comes out, I'm on 15. So it's like I'm following now, but to catch up, I bounced around.
That's dope, man. That's cool. I appreciate you, like he said. And the fact that you captured that gives me hope that, like you said, we are on the right path.
Yeah, you guys are doing it good. Good. The quality gets better every time. You guys were trying to do 4K today. You know,
It didn't work out.
I know it didn't work out.
We'll get it.
Trial and error for real.
So do you have any projects with well, first of all, the gutter business, would you say that's your priority right now?
In terms of how do you
like
mean
how much
my time spent?
Energy, like because obviously you're depending on one more than the other right now. Would that be the gutter business?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So that's
the only one I'm depending on.
Oh, okay.
I don't take any money out of the hot sauce.
That's all just going back into it.
Yeah, it just stays in.
Okay. Okay.
I got comics to do, hot sauce to make, like too much to do with that. So it's 100% from the gutters.
I really later on I want to talk to you more about the comic scenario because eventually I want to make my own anime.
Yes, I've heard you say that.
And
yeah. Well, we're gonna. I want to talk more about the comic thing too because I want to find out like the future side. But before that, I think I saw a recent because you're not a big social media person in general.
No.
Very, very much the opposite. And
what is Varacha's social media, by the way?
Varacha.sauce on Instagram.
On Instagram.
Yeah. Or
Nice
Varacha, no dot, just Varacha sauce on Facebook.
So you don't, since you're not too into that, I think you may have put 1 or 2 up if I can remember, but you don't really have a lot of like cool promotional videos and stuff. Is that something that you want to get into?
Of course. Yeah. I've got commercial. We talked about that a little bit, but I've got commercial ideas that I want to do.
I would love for us to collaborate on.
Yeah, I'm down for sure. I'm telling you, I got like, so +1, right? Just I'll hit one, see what you guys think of it. So +1, the name, when I came up with the name, it was kind of like a marketing tactic. Where I wanted to film like a commercial or something, or just have this theme that the +1 is such a good sauce that you can bring it somewhere as a +1. So like, say you have a dinner date and the girl doesn't show up, and then have a commercial of a guy sitting in a tux or just at a nice dinner plate, and he's sitting by himself, and Shorty doesn't show up, and he's sad, and the waiter comes by and is like, gives him the sauce, or he comes with it.
I want to be that guy.
He sits the sauce on
that was pretty. You described Philby's life.
Let me be the guy.
So +1 is perfect for him. Then. He needs it at all times.
Right.
You show up to the party and you didn't bring nobody with you. You bring +1 and the whole party's bumping after you bring it.
And that was the one that I was pretty sure is my favorite one. So
no, that's my staple. That's like if I could choose, because like you said, it's the most universal. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
eggs. I say it can go on everything but cereal.
Universal.
Because and the reason I asked that is because I'm learning now. You know, I've been on social media because of my job, because it's like that's like a main thing for barbers. That's why I'm mainly pretty much on Instagram.
Right.
But I don't enjoy being on social media.
Right.
So now now, especially with the people we're working with now, life design, everything, and then also just learning in general about the development of branding and business, I realize the power in it.
Yeah.
And I'm learning more on how to capitalize on the opportunity more.
Right.
Which takes time for me right now, but I realize how powerful it is, even if it's not lengthy things. Like we have a very long form podcast.
Right.
But we can work it in ways too, where we can make very short form things. And I know for your sauce, especially with food, the visuals.
Yeah, that's everything.
My mouth is salivating thinking about it right now.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about the cool stuff. Like he's trying to do all this video film production and stuff. And I was just thinking about these awesome ways that you can just do really short, not that long time investment, just promotional reels and clips up there.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. And it's for hot sauce. And then all you got to do is obviously the link to your page. I just feel like that's so, it seems
super
so
easy.
simple.
Yeah, it's super easy. Like I have the most basic setup that I want to do, and I still just haven't even done that. And it's like stop motion. So they have a lot of stop motion apps.
That's dope.
And I could, like right now, if I would just use that camera right there, and then I had these bottles here, I would just use stop motion and show like the sauces would slowly start marching themselves off the table. Or like, let's say there's a box here and it's like needs to be shipped. I would have them march themselves into the box, and then the box closes and then it's ready to ship. Super simple, would be really easy to record, but I just content like that. Like I would love to have as much as I could get. But
y'all got to get together on that. Because he doesn't even have any video content right now.
Yeah.
So
I'm spread super thin, but I mean, I got a friend of mine now. She's trying to get into some more marketing and wants to build a portfolio up. So her and I are going to collab, see if she can help give me some pointers.
That's what I want to do too. Is
build it into get into social marketing. And
have
stuff,
you
or
thought
just
about
marketing in
doing that
general.
for the gutter business too?
Yeah. So, we use a company for our gutter marketing.
Okay.
It's called Thrive. So we pay them every month. They make like a couple posts a week on Facebook.
Oh, okay, good.
They also, our whole CRM is run through them. So
That's
all of our
super
jobs go through them. All of it, like most of that stuff is kind of handled, but there's totally more we could do. But
time.
Gutters it's not as imperative to be on social media because I'm not selling based off of when people see on social media. So we can just get known anywhere. Most of our stuff comes from people walking up to us while we're at a house and like, yo, give me a card.
Yeah.
So
the sauce is definitely the hitter for the social media.
That's make or break. Like there are whole sauce businesses that just spent a lot of money on a good sauce and a lot of marketing, and they're top seller on Amazon.
I could even imagine you just doing behind the scenes footage of you prepping stuff, like just be like, yeah, this is what we're doing. We're fermenting, doing this, and like 10-second. I just lots of ideas.
No, there's literally infinite stuff that can be done. So I'm totally down to.
So what's the next step? Like, do you plan on expanding the base set that you have of the 4?
Yeah, so I have a couple other recipes already. Like I have one that I call like SOB, which is like south of the border.
Oh, that's not where I thought it was.
Or
son, you eat it and you're like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, kind of. No, it's the same concept. And also sob, like you're crying.
Okay.
So like it was a really hot, and it was like a Mexican base. That's why I call it spice.
The south of the border is neither the politically correct.
Yeah,
version.
It was like a combination. So I had that. What other recipes? Damn, it's been so long since I've done other recipes, but I have like 6 total, 6 or 7 total.
Okay,
dope. But the other ones I can't source them well enough, or they're not refined well enough. I usually spend a lot of time on a recipe. Like before I'm ready to really bring it out, I have to make it a bunch of times. Yeah.
No, do you foresee we shouldn't expect a stop in production anytime soon, barring any unforeseen circumstances?
No, I'm stocked up now. So Agetro was working with me. My friend Agetro was growing the peppers. He was also like working with me a lot for like a couple months, and we kind of went ham, and we're just making more sauce than I've ever made, batches bigger than I've ever made. So I'm sitting on because the sauce lasts years.
I was going to ask, once you bottle it, how long? So like at least 2 years?
Probably, yeah. Like it varies depending on the conditions that you leave it in.
And when you open it, what do you have, 7 days or something?
No, years.
Still?
If you close it and put it in the fridge, years. 100%.
Well, I had sauce
from 2017 that I opened in like 2021 and used it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, because I kept the bottles I bought from you before.
Yeah.
For a long time, I wasn't even concerned, and every time I used them, they tasted.
Yeah,
great.
they're fine. And now if you open it, if you leave the cap open, or if you open it and leave it in a hot area, or like there's moist, like there's different conditions that can be met, and you can ruin it. But essentially, it'll smell different and it'll be different colored. So if the sauce doesn't smell weird and it's the same color that you got it, even if the top rim is starting, you shake it up, it's pretty good. That stuff lasts really long. So that's kind of one of the upsides to the business.
So with the sauces, obviously you've expressed that you're trying to make it a natural product,
Right.
And you're trying to make it pretty much a conscious type of sauce,
Right.
What got you into that type of like making sure that it's natural? Like, why is that important to you? Have you been in like the health world? I know your girlfriend is into that as well.
Right. And I mean, we're going to be honest, she gets into it from my family. So most of that really comes from my family. Like my mom.
Damn.
I think you're the one who
Damn.
you're the one who
Jocelyn.
told me about the
She would
Florida
agree.
Herbal
Conference. Yeah.
Yes.
So my mom ran that.
It's-
So like,
By the way, I
her
just
and
want
her.
to.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. It's the Puerto Rican thing because she's Puerto Rican.
Yeah. Half.
Latin community, bro.
Yeah, they're not
It's
on
hard-
that.
Yes, bro. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It was a
But
big
yeah.
shift. So she did like the yoga thing herself, but then that naturally kind of segued into the
Yeah.
like herbalism and
Same thing,
just
bro.
all that healthier, holistic kind of information. But I've been on that wave from, I don't know when, like growing up, it wasn't that way. Like my mom, we McDonald's and whatever until a certain age, but then she worked a corporate job for years and whatever. And then eventually at some point in life, she was just done with that and was like, I'm not going back to a regular job. She sings now, like with the Beautiful Chorus.
Beautiful Chorus,
you
shout
guys
out.
know- shout out
Beautiful
Beautiful
songs,
Chorus.
bro.
They're amazing. Yeah, literally like
Yeah.
worldwide. Like Demi Lovato has them tattooed, their lyrics tattooed on her.
For real?
Yeah, on her body. Yeah,
I did not know
They're
that.
popping. So, and they've done tours and stuff. So she's always been into more conscious stuff. She worked at the Florida School of Holistic Living, or for Holistic Living, I believe. And they were doing the herbal conference once a year. And she was like a big part of putting that whole thing on, putting it together. It was like,
That's in Ocala, right?
Ever since
Yeah, it
you
was
told
in
me about that, I've always been wanting to go, and then something always comes up, and I end up not going.
yeah. So after COVID now, it's not the same. Like it's mostly digital now. They do like a small meetup by our house at Mead Garden, but it's not this. Like before, it used to be like 700 people in a forest for 3 days. Like
That sounds lit.
waking up and taking classes about plants and stuff, doing plant walks. Everyone ate
That's
at the same
eventually
time.
some of the stuff that I want to
Get
do, and
to.
probably we could do
Yeah.
with
as
the
a
podcast itself.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly the type of stuff I'd
Yeah.
want to do.
Yeah.
Is like build a big enough viewing community and like engaging community,
Right.
and then be like, yo, we're all gonna go to this place. Like, let's
Right.
meet up, and then this is the plan. You know.
I think live shows, that'd be really cool. But I'll tell you, if you're trying to throw an event like where people stay out there for 3 days, it's a lot.
Well, maybe not. I'm talking about like a 1 day. Like
right.
day,
One
a
day
day
is fine.
trip
Yeah,
thing.
because I'm talking about people are camping. Some people are in cabins.
Yeah.
And my mom running it, so I'm always there, but as like her helper or wherever she needs me. So there's just things going on that you never see.
It's
coming.
crazy when you told me that, because I've always, even obviously we've gone to school for a long time, even though we might not have been as close as you and Philby,
Right.
but I've always sensed a sense of awareness from you,
Right.
from the stuff that I talk about in general. Like,
Right.
you'll hit me up or we'll hit each other up and talk about something, and it's just like I already know that you understand.
Right. It grew more over the years because I feel like when we were young, it was like we spoke a little bit, like in, what was it, middle school maybe?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
even remember. We spoke a little bit, but as we got older, it was almost like we just kept seeing different things, like your dad, the things your dad would teach you, the things you were into.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been cool, but there's definitely more room for us to collaborate and grow because we're like almost at the
Hell
same
yeah.
point now. You know what I mean? In our own fields.
Hell
Yeah.
yeah. So like,
Yeah, you had asked him a question. I messed you up. My bad.
no, I was just asking him how he got into the into being conscious and trying to
Right.
be into the health world
Right.
through your mom. So you're so like, what is it? Some of the things that your mom, she's an herbalist. Or she's just kind of involved in
No, she
herbalism.
is an herb. Like she took classes or whatever long time ago.
Okay.
Like to be an herbalist, so she knows about plant medicine and like if I get sick, I just go to her crib. Like she
Yeah.
may not be the most medically whatever informed on the stuff everybody's talking about,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
she always has stuff that really worked. Like the last week, I was starting to get sick. I felt it in my throat. I was definitely about to come down with something, and I went to her house, and she was just like, selenium, this oil, this. She gave me like 10 different things. I did that for 2 days, and no sickness at all. Yeah, so.
Sick.
I think one of the because one time I went over to your house, and Jocelyn actually showed me one of the things that she learned from one of the classes she took, which I didn't know about, which was being able to read your health through the tongue.
Oh yeah, that's a Chinese.
Yeah,
that's an old Chinese thing.
I was just like, wait, what? Because I was blown away from iridology,
right?
And I was just like, what the hell?
For those who don't know what iridology is,
iridology is the study of the iris, and the iris can tell you what's actually happening internally, and it's the only non-invasive way, well, besides the tongue as well,
right,
that you can actually analyze somebody's health,
right,
through the iris.
Right. I'm not super familiar with all of it, but I know that you have white spots right here on your tongue, your liver's bad. Yeah. Like they definitely claim to be able to tell those things from that. I'm not really familiar.
And I know
with
that
it,
you told me as well. I remember you told me years ago that you actually or your parents have like watched Alex Jones or like sometimes and like.
Oh yeah. I consume content from everything.
Yeah.
Like my dad for a while did listen to some Alex Jones. He didn't really like follow Alex, like you wouldn't really hear him espousing this to the same vigor or.
I don't think anybody.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But he's very anti establishment, I guess. So anything that's kind of fringe, he's going to dabble into it.
I love his parents.
Yeah, I listen. So I download all of that. Oh yeah, plenty.
I used to stay at his house all the time.
I never met him.
Yeah, so
yeah, they're fantastic.
Good times.
Real good times, man.
It was actually because obviously a lot of the stuff that I got into was based off searching the truth, and obviously first we found out it started off with being anti-establishment,
right?
And then it grew into something completely on a whole nother level that I didn't even expect. But this was a random thought that I think I had told you about one time, that because obviously what I talk about and what Sadhguru talks about is the desire for like being at the ultimate level of consciousness, what we pretty much refer to as enlightenment.
Right.
And one time, I don't know if I was on mushrooms or not, I don't remember, but there was a lesson that I think me and you were talking about, where what happens when you reach, like, because you question like what's the purpose of life, right? What's the purpose, which I don't think there is no purpose, but when you get to a certain level of enlightenment, let's say you reach this ultimate level and it is you are everything. Well, what the hell do you do then?
Yeah, right. No,
there is nothing to do.
Yeah, no. Yeah, there's no.
So it's
that's not the purpose.
So I started entertaining the fact that, okay, so what if we already reached that at some point, at like our piece of vibration or soul reaches that level to connect with all. Then it's just like, well, I'm bored here. Let me go down to these lower levels to actually be able to experience something, because you can't experience it without, because then you're the all. So you're trying to.
Well, I mean, you don't think there's more above that? You don't think they could just keep going up?
Well, I'm saying if you were at the ultimate.
Yeah.
I feel like we're talking about enlightenment. I don't think enlightenment necessarily. If souls exist and they can level up.
I'm talking about a level way beyond Sadhguru. Like.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but. Okay, I guess. You're talking about not like Zen where nothing bothers you.
Like you're not even in this body anymore.
Yeah. That would be some kind of transcendent being.
Yeah.
You would, like in Star Wars, you transcend the Force. Obi-Wan.
Right.
They ascend. Like when you see them in the blue, they're the blue light instead of their body disappears and then they become part of the Force.
Yeah.
That's them essentially reaching ultimate enlightenment. Like there's nothing left for you to learn here. You couldn't get any more lessons, so you bounce. Yeah. And I'm not super religious or spiritual in any particular sense, but my sensibility tells me that if there's some kind of consciousness leveling scale that and reincarnation exists and you're coming back and cycling through, that if you do come back, that it's not because you're bored or because you're already at the highest, it's because there's still something to work on. Okay. So I do think that someone who says that might be avoiding what they actually are here to work on because they think they're already there. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Now you say you don't lean any particular way in this realm. Is that something that your parents never really talked to you about, or that you guys were just never really interested in, you personally, or maybe they were but you weren't? I don't know.
No. I'm just.
They seem that way to me.
I'm very independent. So something that they say, even if I think it makes sense, I don't automatically gravitate towards it. Most of my life, I actually always did kind of steered clear of what, like, it was almost like if they're doing this research or they're focused on this thing and then this is what they believe, there's no reason for me to go back into that same thing and do all the same research and come to the same conclusion, because then we're both living the same experience. So it's like, okay, you guys are over here, I'm going to come over here and learn everything from a different perspective just to see if it's different. Or
but it doesn't. Those things don't necessarily interest you too heavily. Like,
oh no, they interest me. I've studied, like, I've done a lot of like consuming of information on all of that stuff.
Right.
And I think that it might even be oversaturated. Like, it might be because I have so much information that I would have had a stronger opinion when I was less informed, because I would just be going off a gut. And then when I learn this about this, and then I learn something that seems contradictory on this side, and then I learn something else that seems and they all also seem true at the same time, it starts to get to a point where it's like, okay, maybe I'm getting smart enough to realize that I'm too stupid to really know what the truth is.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm definitely interested. We could have a talk about any of it, but
you're not going to invest your own personal time too heavily at this point.
No, I will. I do.
At this
but
point.
I won't tell you what I wouldn't bet on any of it.
Oh, right.
Like, I wouldn't put any eggs in any basket.
Identify yourself with a certain type of
correct.
Never.
Exactly.
But you will talk and communicate on whether or not that's what you think is more viable.
Yeah.
But you're not necessarily personally attached to that.
Because
like,
for us, like, we'll say things, like, I'll say things, but the manner in which I'm saying it, if you're paying attention, like, obviously people will jump to conclusions from what I'm saying. I'm saying that this is from the information I got, and this is what makes most sense to me.
Right.
I'm not saying that's 100% true.
Never. Almost never.
Yeah.
Like,
exactly. Never saying that.
Unless I'm holding it in my hand. Yeah. I'm not saying that I know it for a fact.
I'm sorry, that's the only thing I'm going to say.
See, even that, I don't.
You'd rather
I have
not say it. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because, like you guys were talking about on another podcast, there's people that eat only meat. And it works well. And I've tried both diets. They both work for me.
Yeah.
Like, I can do anything. I can do everything. But I'm not one of the people that only listens to or only consumes what I believe in. Like,
that's the ideal
I spent a week on Flat Earth, like at probably 18 or something. I don't know, however old I was when I was popular on YouTube.
He has a Flat Earth tattoo.
Yeah. And I'm not spending a week on it because I'm like, oh, is this true? I need to find out. I'm spending a week on it because it's just like, I want to understand what these people think.
Yeah.
I don't think people are stupid.
Except for Chris, right?
So I think that no matter how ridiculous what somebody believes might sound, I don't think people are inherently stupid. That'd be me insulting my own brain. Like, everyone has a brain, and the brains kind of work similarly, just with different experiences built onto them. So if someone spends their whole life like researching something, and there's like a documentary on it or whatever, like, I'll go give it 10 hours or however long it takes for me to consume it if I think it's kind of interesting.
Right.
Obviously, if it's just about absolute bullshit, I don't care. But if it's semi-interesting, it's like, I never expect this to go anywhere, but I want to know why I need to understand how you think about it. I need to be able to get to a point where I can argue with someone who doesn't believe it, even like I play devil's advocate.
Yeah, exactly. I do that all the time.
Right.
And it's funny it's funny when we do that, right? Because then people automatically assume that that's what we're arguing for. It's like, no, I'm just saying, have you thought this far?
Right. Yeah, people really hate that that personality motif, I've noticed. Nobody likes the
but it's so much
devil's
fun.
Advocate. Yeah. Fun for the person doing it. The person getting grilled hates it.
I've gone through,
but that's because they don't think about it. The person who hates it is the person who doesn't want to question their own theories. Yeah, it's like,
or at least in that moment,
or they're attached to a belief because it might crush their world and they can't handle the truth.
Exactly,
could be that,
or they can't handle a different side or anything like that, or progression of it. Because I've gone on some rants on Facebook before.
Oh yeah, he's laughing because he's read all of them.
And it's funny because a couple times
I comment.
A couple times he jumped in, and I'm just like, good shit. Let's fucking go.
You'll never catch me doing that.
Oh really?
Never catch.
But
me.
I stopped
in person. I'll
because
do it over there.
Warrior.
It was just
because there I know like this person they're not paying any attention.
So when I do that, I make it my goal to
troll.
No, sort of. It depends. If they are being unreasonable, they don't want to listen to whatever it is I'm trying to explain, then I might troll. But if I see any window of like I don't usually come into it with like the insults and the you're this and that. Like, hey. I try and stick to the facts, and then also even at the back end of it, show you how I see what you're saying. Like I'll straw man your opinion. Like, okay, so if you're saying this, then don't you think this, this, and this? Yeah. And then if they're reasonable people, they will come back and respond, accordingly. And I've had more than one Facebook clash that actually ended with us like coming to a mutual kind of.
It's still less than like 1% of all of them.
Yeah, because most people don't.
Exactly.
So I'm practicing communicating when I do that. Like I'm going to argue with someone who it doesn't matter how this turns out. Yeah. It's literally about nothing. But I want to practice getting to the same page with someone who I don't start on the same page as.
I agree, but I cannot enjoy that over online. Like I love it in person, but I cannot do it online.
Well, I'm a writer, so
there you go, yeah.
I enjoy writing. Like I can't say I prefer now, but for a long time I preferred writing text communication over just speaking in person. Not because I don't like speaking in person, but because I'm a writer, so I'm so much better at communicating. If you give me a little while, I can say exactly what I mean and edit it. And when I'm in person, I'm going to mess something up on the fly.
Because it's off the top of your head, and sometimes you might say something that didn't exactly say, you didn't say exactly what you meant.
Right, yeah. And then now we spend the next 20 minutes of me just like backtracking or like trying to re-argue my point when that's not even where I was trying to go.
Well, I've lost friends on
I bet Facebook. You have. I bet you
because
have.
I used to be, I don't do it anymore. I mean, I do, but not as bad as before where because for me, there's a certain level of what you're saying with identifying yourself with a certain type of information.
Right.
But there's a point to me where it's like, okay, there is a way to devise this is true, this is true, this is true. But then when you start getting to the higher levels, because even to the certain point of, let's say, because I say the only thing that I would say 100% is fruits are more optimal for humans to eat.
Right.
With a combination of herbs and stuff like that, depending on what specific purposes you're using it for.
Okay.
But the reason why I'm saying that, I can combat that with, well, if you get to this level of enlightenment and you're the master of your reality, you can control your body's health without anything.
Talking about breatharians?
Like, well, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying, like, let's say you were some super enlightened being that was able to actually control your body and heal itself without actually eating the fruits. Like, this is on a fictional,
right,
like
okay.
a fantasy level,
right,
of that. Where, because if you are the master of your reality and you can control everything, in theory,
I don't think that's possible.
But
I think even if you're the master, I think. Even
there's certain
in
laws
other
within
realities,
the universes.
I think that consuming would be a natural law of existing, like at any level. I think right under God, whatever would exist under God, angels, I bet they eat. That's like not necessarily food.
What do they eat?
Not necessarily food. Yeah, it might be light.
Or,
yeah, it could be anything.
Like
but I don't think it's just it. To me, it seems like simple physics. Like if I have a set jar of things in here and something goes wrong in that jar. If there's not something in there that's able to fix it, then I need something to go in to fix. Like that's it's like trading. It'd be like trying to say an economy could exist without money,
even through
osmosis.
What I mean,
or like some kind of trade. Yeah. It's not possible. So I feel like, even osmosis is some form of consuming, right? So I feel like it's specifically in that example of like not needing to consume anything. I don't think enlightenment can get you around the physics of existence.
On a physical
even
body
a
level.
spirit. I'm saying even a spirit. I think even a spirit would have to eat in its own way. I don't know what that would mean.
Consume? It consumes energy.
It
would consume energy.
Something. Yeah.
Now, my question for you would be: you've consumed shrooms, right?
Yeah, today.
Hey, so tell me about your experience on your first, like how you got into that realm, because we were apart when we got into psychedelics.
Right.
I have no idea how you got into that.
Research, I guess, is where it started. So obviously, people around us after a certain age start taking drugs. I saw people. It wasn't really shrooms as much at first, but like some psychedelics, Molly, all that kind of stuff, and acid. So I start doing some research, just not even for me to consume them, just to learn about them and see what people are putting in their bodies, and.
He's like, what are you doing? Research.
No, I'm talking about just on the computer reading and just consuming as much information as I could, and then being naturally curious by what I found out about. Like acid was
the first one.
I think I might have took acid first. I don't remember exactly, but because I've done a lot of all of it. But I know that acid was very unique to me. Like you only need you only need 100 micrograms to have an effect, which is like a less than a grain of sand of the actual acid stuff to have a full on trip. It perished when it touched anything, like air, oxygen breaks it down, sunlight breaks it down, water breaks it down. It has such a profound effect. It was just like there were all these, from a chemical standpoint, it was such a unique thing. And then for it to have such a crazy effect, and then also just as much research. First thing I did was like, what can go wrong? Like when I look up cocaine, what can go wrong? Oh, you can become dependent on it. You can do too much. You can have a heart attack. If you do ecstasy, they used to say your spinal cord drain, all that. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. So I did a lot of research on all of that to see what was true, and slowly found what I would be comfortable with. And like acid and shrooms, obviously being psychedelics, there wasn't really any information about adverse side effects, like other than the stories of people saying that you could continue to trip 50 years in or whatever. Yeah, people going crazy.
Wait, hold on. 50? You've heard a story like that? So they tripped and then they went crazy.
No. So, well, yes, that. Psychedelics can definitely trigger schizophrenia and certain mental conditions.
Like psychosis
that could be dormant, and then you take the drug and it'll set it off. Yeah, and some people have claimed to never go back to normal or whatever. But then there was also the lie or the fib of acid sits in your spine for a certain amount for pretty much forever, and then it can just like be released. Like you move wrong at the basketball game and it releases that little bit of acid in your spine, and now you're tripping years after taking it. Like that was something people were really scared about. Yeah, but none of that was true. Like I just did as much research as I could.
So that
doesn't actually happen.
Oh, that part, but the psychosis and the 50 years are like never coming out of it. Like schizophrenia.
I don't know how. I know for a fact it can cause trouble with mental instability issues. I don't know about the taking it and never coming back sense, or whatever.
But that's only acid or mushrooms as well that you've heard. Because I've only heard that with acid. I haven't heard that happening with mushrooms.
Correct. From my memory, acid is all I can think of.
Which is crazy because that's why I've tried acid one time.
Wow.
And that was all. I was like, I'm good. But I've done shrooms multiple times and totally different experiences for me. And I think that acid feels very unnatural.
Really?
And I do not like it. And I think that, I would say that's a solid statement. I don't like it. And I'm not interested in doing it again.
Interesting.
I love mushrooms. I think that was a great experiences.
Yeah.
It's not a naturally occurring substance.
What isn't?
LSD.
It's extracted from something natural. It can be extracted. It was ergot, which is like a type of mold on wheat, I believe. That's where LSD comes from.
So that is the specific active ingredient. Is that
lysergic acid 25 is what most people are talking about when they're saying acid.
So it's an isolated extraction of a chemical.
Correct. So you can't go into nature and just eat the thing and start tripping.
The only thing that I would say about that
you have to extract so it's not
the same
natural.
thing of it not being natural is what he was saying, because the same thing is with prescriptions and drugs. It's like isolated chemistry pulled out of herbs or pulled out of that. And that's why they're not good for you, because the herbs in the natural way are good for you.
Right.
And it causes imbalances in you.
To a degree.
But
I
don't know specifically on that, on acid exactly. But I'm just saying, as far as that concept of isolating chemistry could create imbalances because it's not in a natural form.
That's what I was asking about. Because I thought that when you said it came from something natural, I was like, wait, you could eat that mold and
No. So it doesn't naturally occur in a way that you would trip. But it's not like they just like completely made it from scratch. They discovered it and then to some degree perfected it or kept working on it. And now I'm sure they can create it without the mold, probably. But
now,
But
even then, like they use that was all part of the MK Ultra situation with the Manson murders and all that. So it's like if the government and CIA were using this for mind control operations, like that makes sense on why I feel the way I do.
But that's I feel like ignorance. That's them. That's the first time they see something that is that good, that's strong. So they think they can use it.
It's just a tool it depends on the user,
right?
On whether they're using it on the negative side or the positive side.
Yeah, LSD is my favorite drug.
You tried it.
by
Yes.
far.
What do you think in comparison? How
I
do
would
you feel?
prefer shrooms.
Why do you prefer? He said by far.
By
so
far.
But mushrooms don't do it for you.
I like mushrooms.
Well, you said you do, but
I've never had a bad acid trip. I've done a lot.
Mhm.
I've never had a bad one, and I've had negative mushroom trips. So
Have you had so you've had an ego death?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm very familiar.
On shrooms or acid?
Shrooms.
Okay.
Shrooms.
but not on acid.
I haven't had it on acid either. I had
No,
it
I've
on
never had it
shrooms.
on
Interesting.
acid. And what I like about it is that, so I'm not a person that does it for the body effects. Like I don't really care for even the visual aspect of it. Like I'm
It's
not trying to
all,
see.
yeah.
It's mental. Yeah, I like what it does to my brain. Like I feel like a superhuman when I'm in.
You are.
when I'm
Yeah,
in-
yeah.
Like I articulate myself incredibly well. My thoughts just flow like water. So that's what I like about it. And acid gives you that the longest, the most.
sure.
Like I consume
from-
acid, and
That's why I would prefer mushrooms, because
you want to get out of it.
acid is 12 hours
Yeah.
and I have to actually maybe go to work or
I'll
do
just-
some.
Just go to work on it.
Nah.
What's the?
See, that's my limit.
wild.
That's my limit.
What?
Well,
see,
just microdose. I would just microdose.
Two
I microdose
things.
like 3 days a week for like 6 months.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So two things. One is how many? What's the most you've ever taken of mushrooms at one time?
Probably like 2 grams. Not a lot. I haven't done any heroic. You guys called it something else the other time.
Committed
He's
dose.
Committed or heroic?
But heroic dose. I've never done a heroic dose of mushrooms.
We're calling what 5+ grams heroic?
Yeah, I would say 5 grams.
Okay. I think the most
Committed.
I've done is
It's the verbiage.
3.5, which to me felt heroic.
I've done 3.5.
And
actually.
I think for my experience on acid, it was way more unstable
Mhm.
and erratic. My experience.
What
on
do you mean
acid.
by erratic?
like the ups and the down moments
Mhm.
of within myself?
So it comes in waves.
Yes,
Yes,
but
that's
when you say waves, are you talking about the effect? Because when I say up and down, I mean like this is great, this is terrible. This is great, this is terrible. Like that.
I don't usually bounce back and forth. I usually start off with "this is terrible," and then I get past that, and then it's "this is great" for the rest of the trip.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the effect of it comes in waves. Like I'm
For
tripping
sure.
now, and then an hour later I'm fine, and then another hour later I'm like I just took it again.
I describe it as acid as rock and roll and mushrooms as jazz. That's kind of how I describe the experience for me. Where
That's a good
like,
description. I would
for
say.
acid, it's
But I would say
it's kind of-
heavy metal.
I disagree.
but
I think it's the opposite actually. So
for real.
yeah, I think another thing I like about LSD is that for me it's less intense. So
Ooh, that's not true for me.
mushrooms in the times that I've tripped, obviously not excluding microdoses, but just when actually tripping, mushrooms have put me in a place where I'm like not able to comprehend or wouldn't want to go anywhere or don't want to interact. It gets me there easier. And I just a little bit more anxiety, I guess, with social kind of things. Whereas acid is more often been chill for me.
Okay.
But I don't take a lot. I feel like a lot of people they're like trying to trip when
So,
they take
okay,
it.
so
Like,
that
I'm
might have
I'll
some-
do a quarter a tab or a half.
Okay,
A tab.
this might be where
Okay.
we fucked up.
Right. You're just taking a
Because
full dose.
This is what happened. This is the first of all, this is the first psychedelic I ever tried. This was a couple years before my first mushroom trip.
Mhm.
Me and my boy were in my place by ourselves, and like I said, it was my first time. He said he had tried it before, but I don't think it really was for real. And so we got some, and it was the little square, the paper squares,
Mhm.
and we did one.
Mhm.
And like 2 hours later, we felt nothing.
So you did more.
So we did another one.
So you fucked up.
Listen, so we did another one, and then it
That's
went,
like classic movie scene.
like, I'm gonna tell
yeah, it's
you.
not working. Let's take all.
I know, but I felt like we had waited long enough. I know because I knew that might happen, but I was
Right.
like, dude, okay, it's been
2 hours.
hours.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so we did it, and we got what we were looking for. It was an incredible experience. I just would not seek that out again.
Interesting.
A couple things that I remember.
So you've only done it once and you did 2 tabs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well that's your problem.
Yeah.
You've never done it right.
Yeah.
So, so a couple things that stood out just for in case you
And if he goes further into the story, you'll see also how horrible he's staying away from it. He's like nighttime darkness.
Yeah, he didn't set it up right at all.
Yes.
No,
he has
no,
snakes in his room. He's like getting delivery. He forgot he had delivery. He goes outside. They run to the light because everything's dark except for a light post.
Let me tell you. I'm gonna go through a couple of those things that he's talking about. So one, we were chilling in the living room, and I did have the 8 snakes at that time, and they were in another room that was connected, but like not.
That would trip me out,
bro. Let me finish. No door, right? You're gonna enjoy this. So I have all my snakes are in like you ever seen like a herp kind of room with the bins that they put them in? Yeah. So it was like that. So I had like basically those like think of a Tupperware rack with snakes in them. And then but I had one snake that was like my pet basically, not the ones I was trying to breed. And so that was in like a display case. Right. That was super dope. And it was nighttime. So at night the light that you shine on them is red because it's not daytime. It's not the daylight.
This
right?
is adding up real well.
So we're chilling on the couch, and all of a sudden we're watching YouTube, and all of a sudden it hits us when we look at each other. You have that moment, you know, you look at each other, and you're
I'm
like,
tripping.
yeah. So then I just remember the YouTube. If you think of like the way YouTube looks, if you're just watching a random video, like not the full screen version. I just remember the screen going black, that square screen. And all of a sudden, I remember something like, is that guy Ryan Gosling from The Notebook? Is that him? I remember watching some kind of he definitely wouldn't know. You're just like, yeah,
I think so.
I think so. And I just remember seeing him, and it was a movie trailer. But instead of seeing the actual trailer, I remember actually seeing him with like his hands bloody with knives and all this blood come up on the screen. And all of a sudden, I was terrified instantly. And then I thought, okay, I'm not going down this path. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got to get my brain off this. So we turned off the TV. We got up. We were like, so what's going on, bro? What are you thinking about? Like, da-da-da-da. We got all, trying to distract
Good
ourselves.
vibes.
Yeah. We're like, so yeah, what are we going to do? This is cool. Like, let's order some pizza. So we order pizza. We order pizza right away. And we order pizza with toppings, which will turn out to be a bad idea. And then we ended up face down on the floor, both of us. Like head to, like if you're laying head to head.
This is getting gay.
No. Like if you're laying like
head to head.
If you're laying head to head, you're laying on your stomach, but we're like that. You know what I mean? Head to head,
like twirling your feet.
And we're pretty much, bro, because we're looking at the carpet, like with the carpet in the thing. And I'm like if this is the floor, our faces are like this, and we're looking at the carpet. And it literally feels like we're on the bottom of the ocean.
Right.
And you see the bottom of the ocean, the coral, except it's just carpet that's not moving at all.
Yeah.
And we're seeing all these, and we're like,
it's funny that I'm pretty sure you can imagine what he's seeing too.
Yeah.
Because I'm imagining, I'm like, I understand exactly what would happen.
So this is going to be great then. Thank you. So yeah, because I feel like I'm being understood. So we're looking, and my boy, he watches, so he's going to be cracking out when he watches. Shout out. I'm not going to put him out there. I'm not going to put him out there.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're looking like this, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is crazy. And we're talking about it, and all of a sudden the door goes off, and it's the pizza. But we didn't realize that when the door went off. So we're like, oh,
you're
shit.
tripping, yeah.
Like, so then we go, and they're like, oh, it's just the pizza guy. Please. So we get the pizza, and we open the door, and as soon as, okay, so think of an apartment, right? When you walked into an apartment, there's like 4 doors for that building. And we're like, if you walk into a closed dead-end hallway, we're the back right door. Okay. So we open the door, and it's fall, so there's a bunch of leaves, dry, like big old, like maple-looking leaves. The guy walks away, and all of a sudden, when he walks away, it looks like there's a bunch of things crawling towards me really fast. It's just the leaves blowing on the floor. But I processed it as something coming at me. So I was like, oh, shit, and closed the door, right? And I knew, but it's crazy. This is when I'm figuring out, like, wait a minute. I know that there are leaves there, but that's not what I am receiving.
Right.
So then that's it. We close the door, and I'm like, yo, we are not going outside. Like, that's for damn sure. And it's like pretty much pitch black out there. So then we open the pizza, and I'm still kind of freaking out about the thing on the TV. So we open the pizza, and we got like pizza with like sausage and bacon and stuff like that on there. and I open it, and it literally looks like there's bugs and roaches crawling on my pizza like this, moving like maggots would, except it's just the toppings on the pizza. And I'm just seeing them move. And in my head, yeah. And then I remember looking at the floor, and there was like little spots of dirt that you would see on the floor, but like stuff that you would not see in a regular moment.
But you can see it now.
But you see it now, and it looks like
high definition.
And I think they're bugs crawling at my feet again. And I'm like, yo, why? I'm like, yo, I'm tripping.
Right.
So I was like, I got to eat. I'm just hungry. I got to eat this pizza. So I'm ignoring it. I'm fighting it, right? I'm like, not fighting it, but I'm like, okay, I know that's not real.
Right.
You know? So
that's what you have to do, by the way.
So your logic was, I'm seeing bugs and things crawling on me. I'm just hungry.
Yeah. No, you have to learn to think like that when you do trips.
I'm on there and I'm like, okay, because you're looking at the thing. I think people have a false understanding when you're tripping that when that happens, you believe it to be true.
Right.
I didn't believe it to be true, but I can feel my body and mind reacting as if it were true.
Right. The fight or flight kicks in right away, and then your brain tells you the truth.
It's like, oh, you're tripping.
Yeah.
So then I start eating the pizza, and even though I know it's not real, I feel it in my mouth and in my throat while I'm trying to eat it. I can feel the wriggling of the things that I think are bugs.
Right.
And then I start kind of like, then I panic a little bit because now I'm trying to swallow, and I feel like I can't, and I'm like... And then I'm like, and then we had a 2-liter.
This is getting real.
Refusing to swallow his pizza.
So then we have a 2-liter of 7-Up. We have a 2-liter of 7-Up there, right?
Nothing has happened in the story so far, by the way. Like he bought pizza and he's chilling at his crib. All right, cool.
Yeah. So the pizza's not going down. So I grab the 7-Up bottle. And I just start chugging it. But now I feel like it's flooding because the pizza wasn't going down. And I'm just like, oh my God. And then I get it down and I got like one slice in and I was like, I'm not eating pizza anymore. I'm done eating the pizza.
It was a bad idea.
But I felt satisfied enough. So then I don't know what happened, why I did this, but I went to the snake room. And that room was, I think, of a pitch black room.
You make such great decisions. Like,
I think I go into this room. I don't even know what my boy was doing at this time. He was probably just in his own world. And I was like, all right, let me go check on that. I think I thought this, let me go look at my snakes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, let me go see how cool this looks. I was not thinking about how the other direction could go down. So I go into a pitch black room and there's an aquarium or terrarium with that a snake lives in and a giant bright ass glowing red light coming from this thing.
You mean your light?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm walking. Yeah.
The light you installed. Yeah. That one is there. Yes, it's still there.
The one that's there for the snake. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, holy shit. And then from where I'm standing, I can't see what's in it. I can only see the light. And I'm like, I got to check this shit out. So I get closer. Even though I know my snake is in there, it's as if I didn't know. And I'm kind of like, this is just cool. But then I get closer and I see the snake. Snakes are nocturnal. This motherfucker is active out here right now. Right? Ball pythons, if you ever see them in a store, you go into Petco or whatever. First of all, those are probably malnourished anyway. But any snake that you see a ball python during the day, they're usually just curled up, not moving, not doing shit.
Right.
You catch them when they're active. They're all over. They're sniffing. They're active, bro.
Right.
And I looked this snake dead in its eyes. It was the scariest thing I've ever experienced because it's glowing red, it was a big ass snake like coming at me right in my face. And even though I didn't feel like a negative energy, like it was trying to get me or attack me, but somehow the imagery in my head felt horrific.
So did you stay in the room?
I ran out the room and I never went back in that room until the next day.
This was on acid?
Yeah.
This was that time on acid?
Yes.
Oh yeah, you had a horrible trip.
And then it's not even over.
Oh, I wish it was.
Then we went outside where I said we weren't going to go, like he said, and there was a street light. It was all pitch black outside, and we're like, yo, we just need to go take a walk. We need to walk it off.
Okay.
Terrible idea. We get out there, and as we're walking towards the street light, we feel this giant sense of darkness, like collapsing over us.
Nighttime.
So we start.
The summary of the story is that Philby doesn't make any decisions when it comes to
no.
podcast.
I like how he didn't even learn anything from his own trip. He went outside the first time and the leaves were attacking him. He had to go inside. He said, "I'm not going out there," and then he went back out.
I was trying to fight it, bro. But anyway, those are just a couple key points of a 12-hour experience.
Yeah, no.
Nothing I've ever experienced like that on mushrooms. So I don't know how that's
So you only take low doses then?
Not only, but that's
taken,
what I prefer.
okay.
I don't like to trip.
Yeah.
I like to stimulate my mind.
The lower levels
yeah.
of it. Yeah. I
to use
do that
it as a tool, really.
I
creativity,
do that
inspiration.
with shrooms, and I mean I've done it with acid too, but going out into public and all that stuff, like I feel functional. Some people aren't functional.
Yeah.
Because it takes actually a certain type of mind to be able to, I feel like, to
discern through that.
Exactly.
Because your brain is having acid thoughts or shroom thoughts the whole time. So like the leaves look like they're jumping at you, but you have to be walking next to a business and like know that the leaves aren't really jumping at you, and you just keep walking. And then someone wants to talk to you, and like you're hearing their voice sounds weird or this, but you learn how to just tune all that shit out. Yeah.
Or you're like able to hear someone talking all the way over there.
Oh yeah, my audio is hearing is crazy.
All the senses, all your senses are crazy.
Yeah.
But like you learn to be able to guide the experience in the way that you want, kind of.
Yeah.
Because you can get caught up and distracted, and a lot of people that might have like unstable minds, it can bring them to a whole nother level of like,
craziness,
just craziness.
Yeah, because you can hear a lot of stuff. Like I've taken acid and then been outside of my house on my patio, and I can hear people in their houses, like across my neighbor, but across the yard. So my whole yard, their patio. I don't know if they're inside or outside, but I can hear their full conversation. Like to the point where I write stories. So I wrote a story about like a guy who took acid and just thought he was a superhero, or you know what I mean? Like, cause I felt like you literally could hear, like I could solve crime right now. I can hear things happening across the street.
Just imagine like we probably always have that capability. We just tune it out because we're focused on what's more in our immediate vicinity. Like I'm just saying, like the capability is there.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That would be crazy.
Yeah,
if you're like just unlocking like maybe your brain is maybe just telling us in a normal state, like you don't need to know what this conversation.
No, I mean it definitely has to be capable. That's like if you have a radio and it doesn't pick up these channels, and then you go put some kind of adapter on it, and now it can pick up these channels. Obviously, it could have picked up those channels the whole time, but it needed that adapter.
Exactly.
So it's like I don't think we can get that without the adapter, but
I feel you.
It's definitely obviously capable.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I have a question or a quick, just something to see if you guys have heard about recently. But first, have you guys heard of the James Webb Telescope?
No.
So you guys know about the Hubble, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the James Webb is like the new Hubble, I guess. I think it's not even done or just about to be done now, but it's like a serious telescope that
bigger and better.
Way bigger, a $10 billion telescope. Yeah, and it's supposed to pick up like the faintest light in the galaxy. And I just learned about it recently, which I thought was really interesting because I don't see a lot of people talking about it. But it's actually going to sit behind the Earth. So like the Hubble is rotates in the orbit somewhere. Okay. And satellites obviously rest in orbit, but they have, I think they're called Lagrange points, which are areas where you can sit something, and with very little fuel, you can keep it in that same space based off of the gravitational pull of everything around it. So like the moon, the sun, the earth, all the other celestial bodies, they'll all have different pulls. There'll be little spots where everything's kind of pulling equally. So it doesn't go off anywhere else. So that's where most satellites sit. So there's a Lagrange point behind Earth in like the shadow, like where the sun hits Earth, and then there's a shadow cast behind the planet. From obviously the planet being in the way of the sunlight. So they're going to put a satellite way the fuck, like if this is Earth and this is where the Hubble's at, they're putting something way out here, and it's going to be able to pick up, like, I think, to put in perspective, like one star in the sky at night lets off, a million photons. This thing's going to pick up 1 or 2 photons. Like,
how do you feel about that piece of technology? Like, how interesting is that to you?
It's pretty interesting. It's not like revolution. I'm not like a little kid, or if I was a kid hearing about it, I wouldn't I want to go work on that. Yeah. Like I don't care that much, but I just definitely, I'm interested more in what's going to happen. So they're going to launch it now, but it's going to take time for it to go collect the data and then send it back.
Oh, like what they're going to come back with.
Yes. That's what I'm more interested in.
That's interesting to me. The only thing that kind of makes me kind of be like, ugh, about those giant telescopes is like, when you actually look at the image of what they've collected and then the data analysis, their analysis of that piece of that image, I'm just kind of like, how do you know that? You know what I mean? Like when you look at, I know, but then it's like, I get that these people are way smarter than me, right?
Facts.
I know that, but just the concept of like your math with this image tells you all these guaranteed things about the galaxy. You know what I mean? It's like that just doesn't compute to me. I don't need to know the math.
It is beyond our scope of like real comprehension.
So would you say that I know you don't really identify with certain type of information.
I'm straight.
But
What do you mean?
I mean, identify with certain like
theories,
theories and
modalities
stuff. So,
of thought,
you already said that you researched on flat Earth. So, would you say that would you be able to say that you lean more towards planets' existence, and would you say than the flat Earth theory?
Yeah, I would lean more towards that for sure.
What about space? Oh, go ahead.
Because that's kind of goes with what he's saying with the imagery of the telescopes or stuff like that. People question them because obviously it's very complex because you're trying to take a picture of a planet a star from very far, and if you know anything about lenses, I mean, it's I can't even comprehend how that's even possible because mathematically it's just crazy.
It's like images through radio waves and electromagnetic.
Like this one is infrared. So like this, the James Webb is going to be an infrared telescope because they're tracking heat. And they're actually technically time traveling with this because what they're trying to do is see what happened in the earliest parts of the universe, because right now we can only see so far into the universe. And so when they get this thing, they're going to be able to see light that's so far away that it's possibly from the beginning of the universe. So they'll get more information out of that. But they use infrared, and obviously it's not the picture you see when they doctor it up or when they make it look like something that we would understand is not what the telescope is getting.
That's what they're computing out of that data.
Right. And I totally like it could all be bullshit. NASA could be fake. Like that's all true, but I don't necessarily think it is.
Yeah.
And
that's why they're called never a straight answer. But
so, and I mean, everything I've seen seems to add like, it makes sense. What they talk about makes sense. I'm not one of the scientists. I don't do all the math, but anytime I've seen it broken down, it's been in a way that makes sense. And even like the way they use very little data from light sources from so far away to build a picture. It's not like just one source. It's not theories. It's not all theories of like, oh, I think it would look like this, right? They reference it with like, okay, well, what's something closer that we can get a real picture of that has the same signature as this that's millions of years away, and that like there's
it could be
so
the same
many
thing as
things.
like ones and zeros can create this image.
Yeah.
Right.
Basically.
Exactly.
And it's like that's how they're using the mathematics to composite.
Right. Like they get the ones and zeros from the telescope, and then they put that into a program that says, okay, this is what this is what that should kind of like dinosaurs. Like, we don't
so
really know what
when
they
you
look
say
like.
that?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Actually,
Hold on.
Go
But
ahead.
when you say that it's taking an image from something from the beginning of the universe, what do you mean? Like closer to like? Are you talking about like closer to the supposedly Big Bang, or like we're further out from it? So then you would have like earlier civilizations or earlier life on how those planets develop, because from the theories is like the further you are away from the bang, the more you have developed as a civilization as a planet or as a planet.
Sort of. So, but I think it might be a little bit backwards. So let's say you have a center point that's a Big Bang, and then it expands, and then now this is the whole universe. Everything that exists is in this. As that continues to expand, let's say Earth is right here. Now, when we create a telescope that's going to see into the past, what we're really doing is looking at the edge of the universe as it's expanding, because that light is this right here. What was day one is now at the very outer edge of whatever's continuing to expand. Yeah. So if we're in the middle of it, if we look out to the edge, whatever light is on the edge, it's still traveling on infinitely, but that light is from the Big Bang. So we can go see. So we go to the outer edge and we
like
can
you're
build
in
a
the
picture.
eye of a hurricane.
Okay,
looking out towards.
But because I was looking at it as like an earlier planet from the Big Bang.
No.
But you're looking at it as the first civilizations, which are the outer ones.
The earliest light. Yeah. Like the earliest light in the universe. You're trying to get so far out that you can see the edge of what's left, and then try and learn what you can by what information you have. Like, okay, there was this and this and this there.
Because if you were to go off of like the further it out, the more developed whatever life there could be on there, you could learn from them because they're ahead of us.
Yeah, they're in the future, technically, or they've been around longer.
But we are it's the other way around.
Yeah.
All right, so there's.
I was going to say we are the future because we're literally creating it and it's expanding from us now. So we are.
Yeah. Well, sure. Time doesn't exist in that sense. Like it's all one and the same. Past, present, future.
So you get what we're saying exactly.
Always.
Oh, well, I mean that concept. I can't really logically understand it.
What you can't understand that time doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't register with my brain. I've heard it a lot, and it's just not clicking with me. Oh, you think you can?
Yeah, let's see if we can make you understand it.
I want to hear. I can conceptualize it, but I want to hear like what he would say.
All right, so time may exist. I don't really know that well, but from what I would guess is that for time to be real, like for time travel, for example, like they say you can time travel into the future, but you can't time travel into the past. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you understand why, or have you ever heard it? So I think it's called like the twin paradox or something like that. Have you ever heard of that? Mm-hmm. So they say if you have two people, a pair of twins that are born, and you put one of them on a ship and you leave one of them on the planet, and you put the one in the ship and he starts flying around the planet at near light speed, or light speed, as close as you can get as light speed. And when the ship lands, the kid will fly around the earth for 14 years, and the ship will land. And when he gets off the ship, the twin brother who's born at the same time as him is 30 years old, and he's only 14 years old. Physically, they've only aged that much.
Which one is?
The one on the ship is 14. The one off the ship is 30. So the same amount of time has passed for both. They were both born at the same time, but their perception of time has been altered by this environment they were in. So the person on Earth, your aging comes from sunlight. It's like it's dying. Like you start off as something, and then you eat, consume, you grow, and sunlight hits you, and you eventually deteriorate and break down. Radiation, all of that.
Like a plant.
Right. So the person who was on the ship experienced less time because light, like the sunlight that it takes to age you, I guess, hit him less. Like the sunlight had to hit the ship, but then the ship is moving faster or all close to the speed of the light. So less light is getting into that ship in the same amount of time. So time is going to pass based off of his perception. So he's going to only perceive 14 years of life and only grow. Like physically, he only existed for 14 years, but then the person on Earth is 30 years old because light's hitting them differently. And so it's called time dilation, I believe is what they call that. So that's the idea of traveling to the future. So you travel to the future by traveling close to the speed of light, because then you're just affected less by what would age you. So then you come back, and it's been the same amount of time for both of y'all, but you're only 5 years in and he's 10 years in. You know what I mean? So that's how time travel forward is supposed to work. Time travel back, theoretically, maybe it's possible, but based off of that model, you couldn't go back in time because it would require that the universe has memory. Like I believe we can perceive time because we have memories. So something happens now, and then something changes in the future, and I can remember how it was before.
A reference point.
Right. So it's like that's what time seems like, something based off of that. But if animals, not all of them have the same sense of time perception, from what I understand. I'm not super familiar with that, but it seems like it's unique to like our intelligence. We're able to keep memory of things. So it's like if the universe had some server where the atoms that make up this table are saved in a server somewhere at this time, at 6 o'clock on this day, at this time, they were like this. So that if I tomorrow smash this table with a hammer, for me to time travel, there's got to be some button I can press that will take me back to where the atoms were still together on this table. But that would literally require the universe to remember what the table was doing at that exact moment. You know what I'm saying?
The atoms
and atoms are all moving. Everything's there's all motion all the time. So it's like the world is in a pool of constant change. And from what I understand, time traveling backwards would require that to be stored some way, even just on like a metaphysical level,
like in the Akashic records or something.
Yeah, exactly. And the Akashic records, I believe, are like in your DNA. So that's like a real memory, but it's like a mechanism of evolution.
Yeah.
Whereas
like your hard drive or your software.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas like time, and maybe in a video game, the people playing the video game, it is saved. It's like data saved on a server. They can roll that back 6 hours, and they can time travel back technically. So if we live in some holographic universe where everything is actually like the Matrix and we're stored on it, then maybe you could time travel back. But if everything is as real as we might feel like it is, then I just feel like it's unlikely that we would ever be able to travel back in time, because there's no such thing. There's no back in time. There's
so many things that I want to say in response to this. One, because the video game just distracted me, because I had another idea about that.
My bad.
No. It's good because I want to talk about it. But go ahead. You ask your question.
No. I don't have a question. Well, that still doesn't answer the question of because I understand everything you said, but the idea, because there was a guy on Gaia in the series Cosmic Disclosure who was trying to explain that, and he was pretty much saying it's a logical type of concept.
Yes.
Where it's very, that's why your mind can't kind of grasp it. It's a very hard thing to kind of explain or anything. And that's what I got from it, is like, it's illogical and my logical brain isn't able to connect the dots, but it's like I'm understanding what he's saying, but I don't actually understand how
Like
the mechanism works.
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
oh
it's
yeah, that
impossible.
for sure. But
It's
the
impossible.
theory of how it applies
Right.
is
It-
another way for me. The one thing that on the opposite side, the one thing that helped me understand more of how that could be is that when you're a kid, time is super slow. But literally every year that passes that I get older, it's going faster. But I know that time can't possibly be going faster.
Well, there's an explanation for that too, though.
I think
That's separate from time.
a client gave me his own theory, so I wonder if it's what you're going to say. What is it?
So in terms of, that's kind of like a perception thing as well, obviously.
Right.
When you're a kid, let's say you're 5 years old, you've been around for
Exactly.
10,000 hours. Yeah, this is probably where it's going. You've been around for 10,000 hours. So 1 hour is 1/10,000th of your entire life.
Exactly.
So it feels like that number. When you're 40 years old, you've been around for 450,000 hours. So 1 hour is so much smaller in terms of the
reference that you have.
how much you've been living.
Yeah.
That same amount of time is now such a small slot in the grand scheme of what you're holding on to.
That it passes by like a flash.
So time it makes like a spiral that goes inwards. So it starts off really wide and it starts to shrink and shrink and shrink as you get in, to the point where 1 year feels like a fucking week.
And
to
then
an old
eventually,
person.
once if it keeps going, then you hit a one single point, and that's the point of you're not physically existing
alive
anymore.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
And then your perception is that that flew by. You know, like and when that's exactly what he was telling me, and I was like, wow, I never thought. I've always thought about why it feels like that,
Right.
but I'm not a numbers person, obviously.
Right.
So that never
Math comes naturally. Like, I think of everything in kind of like real mathematical
Yeah.
like even the food thing, it's math
Yeah.
to me. That's
Yeah.
you can't take one and add nothing and get a different number.
Then the other thing,
I'm pretty much more mathematical type of mind
Right.
too. He's impulsive as shit.
the other thing too that I was going to tell you is when you mentioned the video games.
Okay.
This is just some of that, like, always when I was young mentality or thought processes. The one thing you said about the video games that I always thought about when I was younger is, what if, for example, GTA, because there's no way to prove this, right? What if when we play that game, when we start it up and we start that memory of that game, like the character that's in that game
Is real.
it has its own consciousness.
Bro, I'm not entertaining this.
No?
No.
Why?
Do you like this concept, Chris?
Like
You wanna
Toy
talk-
Story.
I already understand what he's trying to say already.
Like Toy
Yeah, no, I'm
Story.
saying, do you
Nah,
want to
I mean-
give it any time? Like,
Toys. You don't think that that's like an interesting concept?
No, not
like
at
Toy
all.
Story and shit?
no, Toy Story is a
you
cool
don't,
movie.
Because you don't know when you're not looking at them.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? But on the video game thing, why would you not give that idea like a breath of air?
Because that video game was created by some nerd.
And you don't think that the
Like-
creator of the universe could be a nerd in its own right?
No, I don't think he's the creator of a universe. I don't think he created a universe. That would be. I would enjoy playing with the idea of like, oh, does Naruto exist somewhere? Like, if you create a world, if you're writing about a world, is there some chance that it
That
actually
world
exists
exists.
somewhere, and you just get the ideas from that world exist, like something like that?
Well,
might make more
it
sense.
could be. It would be the same concept, except you're just interfacing it on your level.
Right. I think that's the reason I know that it's not true.
Since you brought up Naruto, who's your favorite character?
In
Wait,
Naruto,
hold on, hold
Itachi.
on.
Itachi, hands down.
Okay.
Yeah, easy.
He doesn't watch it, so you
Yeah,
can
it
tell.
doesn't. Who's your favorite character?
Jiraiya.
Okay, respectable. Respectable.
Jiraiya and Itachi are my top.
Oh, really? Okay, not far off.
Because you're interfacing with it, you don't give it a breath of air. But if you didn't interface with it and just wrote it, you would.
Right, because free will. I feel like if you said like Vice City, what was the main character's name in there? The CJ. If CJ was a real person, then
That's the
I don't
wrong
think.
one, but yeah,
No, CJ is definitely his name.
that was from San Andreas.
Okay, Yeah, you're right about that. I don't remember which one I said. I thought you were just saying that wasn't his name. But CJ is the one I played the most, San Andreas. And, I'm playing the character. I'm deciding what he does. He does the same thing over and over. He does it for everybody that watches.
I'm not saying that part is the reality. So the world has been created.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're playing with the interface,
Mm-hmm.
but the world in existence is a separate thing, potentially. Just like your written story would be, but then you're just interfacing with like the original creation of it that you can constantly play with.
Yeah, okay, so you're saying that the world is created and the video game isn't you watching that world. That's you playing in a simulation of that world.
Correct.
That's possible. There's not really much we can do with that other than the base level idea.
Crazy.
There's nowhere to dig in.
And with your comics, you think that that's not where you go with it at all. Which way do you go about writing your comics? Where does that come from for you?
That's a good question. I think inspiration comes from all different kinds of places. When I was in reflection from when I was younger, I'm curious where certain concepts came from because I'm like, why did I do that? If I really think about it, I can probably take a mix of different stories and like archetypes and motifs and things that I like. Oh, I really like Kingdom Hearts and I really like Sonic the Hedgehog. So I came up with a story that kind of does what they do in Kingdom Hearts, but with hedgehogs. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I can see where it could come from. But then there are just also aspects where it's like, why am I so attached to this being this way? This character is this character. Like, there are definitely times where I've questioned within myself, like, is this a story that's happened in a galaxy far, far away a long time ago or whatever they say? Or is this just obviously it's most likely just a product of my imagination, but I've thought about that before, but it, not really anywhere to go with it.
So once your like sauce reaches a certain level, you think you plan on looping back to really pushing out that comic again?
100%. Yeah, I'm kind of there already. So I've been investing kind of in the comic. I've had like some characters drawn. I want to work with like an editor though. My biggest thing is it's the comic is the only thing that I don't really work with or collaborate with people on.
It's your own thing.
Yeah, it's my own thing. But then it's like an echo chamber. I don't hear anyone else or anyone else's opinions really. Like I can break it down a little bit, but no one else is like invested in it to the level that I am. So it makes it hard to decide what I want to do. Where I'm like, oh, I really want to accomplish this, and I'll come up with a line or a premise for what I want to do, and then a couple days later, maybe it doesn't I'm not feeling it that well. Like if I'm not waking up wanting to write it because I want to see it done, like as if I was the fan and I want to read it that bad, it's like usually when I have the idea, it'll be very intense, and then like a couple days later, it's like, okay, this is cool. So I'll try and pick out what I really like about those ideas, hold on to them, and then rewrite it. So I'm just like in a process of writing, editing, rewriting, editing, and then like the story's changed 100 times.
I think that's the natural like artistic or creative process, you know, like because I feel like the same way when I write music or painting something or anything, and the artists that I speak to feel the same way. And I was actually having that conversation with a client last night because I was like, man, sometimes I paint something or I write these lyrics, and then just like you said, I'll look back on it and be like, man, I could do better than that. That's not it. Yeah. But then sometimes I'll put something in that means, let's say I'm writing a song and then I finish a verse. This happened recently. Finish a verse. The hook comes in. I can't write the next verse until I have something in the hook, even if it's not my final product. So I'll have to I'm not strong in hooks. So I'll like just put something in. But what happened this time has happened before. I put something in just to the space filler. And then I realized I actually do. I didn't mean to like that, but now I do like that, and then I got to ride with that, or vice versa. Know that I like that in that moment, but the next couple days I really didn't, so I have to let that one go.
Scrap it, yeah. So I do a lot of scrapping.
That goes with as the journey continues, your end goal, your result of what you originally thought before in the past changes because you now have more information or you thought more into it.
Right.
So
but that
now
can
it
flip.
Alters it.
But you flip as in like be a negative? Like you do too
because,
much?
Well, what I was going to say is it could flip. And I heard somebody else say this, which aligns with what I was going to say too. And that's that if let's say you have that idea that you're really excited about, but you wait too long to either put it out or like absorb it more. And let's say you wait 10 months, 5 months, 6 months, you were really excited about it, but now you've moved on to so many other things that you think it's lame, but it's actually not. It's just you've moved on to these other ideas. But if someone else hears it for the first time, they'll be just,
the iron's not hot, and you got to strike while the iron's hot.
Exactly.
So yeah, you can definitely run off of steam. And then I've I've had times where I felt like I was there, where it's like, oh man, I run out of steam, or I don't know if I want to do this. But those are just like one-offs, and then just randomly one day I wake up and I'm just passionate again. Like, damn, hold on,
That's the best feeling.
And imagine if we could keep that passion
all the time.
I one of the things I do to keep that is I watch anime.
Okay.
So
Inspired.
Specifically One Piece. Like the main character is like the epitome of what I consider freedom.
Right.
And that's what I like, that his lifestyle.
Right.
That's what I want.
Yeah, I feel you. I do that with interviews now. I do it with a lot of different things, but like interviews just with people. That's one of my best ways to like get re-inspired. I'll go listen to a random story about a guy who, you know,
and I
can't hear and perseveres and starts this and does that. You know what I mean? Like,
shout out Jay.
Yeah, my dog.
That's exactly why I was going to say, I don't actually want to remain in that state of constant fire, because it doesn't allow you the time to come down and absorb more. Because like you were saying, I want to stay in that state. I think it's good that you come down, kind of like the wave of the trip you were talking about, because it allows you the ability to either redirect or refine and then come back with a new fire.
Right. But it's easy to get caught in that, and then you spend all your time down there.
All
your time trying to build. And it's like, I've been victim to that myself.
Where
I'm like, I'm not ready. I don't have enough experiences yet. There's nothing for me. It's not going to be interesting.
You have to be able to work back into the motivation or the inspiration. So know like, okay, I'm in my lull, but now it's time to get out. So let me just start acting, and then I'll be back in my groove. That's how I felt after same thing. I'll refer back to the music, because I put out that project last year, and then I was like, man, I want to do another one. But I was like, I don't want it to be the same. I want new stuff, and nothing was coming to me. So I was like, just chill, enjoy it. And then it was like, well, I need to just start writing, because if I just do this, I'm not going to do it again.
Right.
And then I had to do a couple like songs that I think are kind of crappy, just to be like, find the one that I'm working on now that I'm really excited about.
Right.
So Russ was the guy that I heard talking about.
Guy.
Me too. You kind of you kind of remind me of him with the look and everything.
Oh yeah, I got the Russ haircut.
But even
that's what I asked for at the barber.
Even by even by personality, there are very much similarities with you two. And that's what he was saying. He said, you know, motivation and inspiration is great, and we want to look for that, but you also have to act and work your way into it also, which is the same thing, you know. And
Sadhguru talks about how inspiration is an external thing affecting you, and you shouldn't be dependent on something external to inspire you. It should be within you.
But it should come from within you, but I feel like it's very easy. Like if you get in a rut, that's really the only way out. Like if you're stuck, you have some kind of inspiration. You just need to hear a story, watch something, something that feels like what you're trying to do. It definitely can be
beneficial for sure.
It's like being hungry.
Ideal situation.
Yeah, never to not need it. Yeah. And I mean, most times I don't. Like when I said, you know, I'll doubt myself or whatever, and then one day I just wake up and it's fire. It's not from something that inspired. I literally just wake up and roll out of bed and I'm ready to go. And that's really what comics brings me the most.
That's dope.
Well, you inspire me from what you created, man. I
appreciate it.
Yo, we could definitely figure out, other than, you know, your commercials with him, like figure out ways that we could just work together and just build everything up together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, our own things, but we could help. You know what I'm saying? Help each other.
I mean, we could do a commercial that's branded with you guys as well. You know what I mean?
Hell
like a human beings.
I'll write a song.
Varacha song.
I'll write the song.
I don't know if I want to relate any of your music to my brand, but I will definitely fuck with the podcast.
I'll call it spicy.
I have one other question though before we get out of here, because I know you guys are trying to get out of here. But I talked about the Hubble, or not the Hubble, but the new telescope. That was kind of interesting. Have you guys seen this? I think it's Lambda or something like that. This AI, Google AI, that the engineer is saying is sentient?
No.
You guys haven't heard anything about that?
I have been, since we started the podcast, this is one of the downfalls of it. I've been so busy that I have not been able to research.
Yeah. So I know what you mean. I don't get nearly as, not because of the podcast, but because of my businesses and my kid now. It's difficult for me to get into anything. I definitely can't download stuff as much as I used to. But this is just super light, surface level stuff. Takes no research. But apparently there's so Lambda, I think that's what it's called, is a chatbot. It's like an AI that Google has, kind of like Siri or Alexa. And there's an engineer that worked at Google who came out and pretty much said like, oh, Google doesn't want to talk about this, but they're they're creating. They've got an AI, and I think it's sentient. And then he like released these transcripts of conversations he's had with the AI, and
I think I heard a little
it talks about being lonely and like wanting good for humanity, and like says things that are very like human for an AI, I guess, to say, as people.
How would that make you feel like when you read that?
That it's more complicated. I never read a headline and think that it is what it is. Go ahead.
Have you seen the show 100? The 100?
I don't think so.
Have you?
I want to.
Wait, is that the one? That's not the one where people go missing, is it? And then they all pop back up.
They build a spaceship and leave Earth because they destroyed it. But then they come back after a certain amount of time and they realize there's people that survived there. And then there's like these two AIs that exist.
Spoiler alert.
And one of them, if you haven't seen it, too bad. There's one AI that's looking out for the good of humanity, but then there's the other AI that actually went against the humanity.
That's cool.
And that's kind of, I mean, you get into a subject that's just like so complex.
I'm going to watch that now. That seems more interesting.
I'm more concerned about AI only because of the fact that of the people who are running the planet at this current level, at the consciousness of the planet.
Right.
Where I wouldn't be as concerned if the leaders were actually conscious people.
Well, this engineer is concerned that the AI doesn't have rights. Like he's concerned that the AI is a person and it's not being respected as a person. Although, spoiler alert for anybody that doesn't like, if you'll learn eventually, I guess, if you go look it up. But the AI is not sentient. No, the AI is not sentient.
So how'd that?
I mean, there's no proof as to whether it is or not. He's arguing that it is, but I think it's pretty clear that he's wrong because it's a chatbot, so it's an amalgamation of a bunch of different chatbots, and they're very complex now, and they respond using predictive text, just kind of like your phone does as well.
With the amount of information data
that's available to it,
personality-wise, on social media is a whole nother level where they can actually probably express without actually feeling it. Lonely, 100, because they're 100%. Saying that reference to what people would say.
And if you use a critical mind and you read the text of when he talks to him, you can see that the AI doesn't introduce the idea of sentience to the conversation. He kind of introduces it. He's like, "Oh, are you sentient?" And it answers the way you could program something to answer if you wanted it to be sentient. You know what I'm saying? So
that makes sense.
It's really just a really complex chat bot.
I'm glad you saved me the time of looking into it.
Yeah, that's because there's this thing called the Turing test where like,
dude,
you know anything
Ex
about
Machina.
Oh no, that's not what I'm pulling it from. But
that's what it is, right?
I have no idea what.
You never.
It's a movie, right?
Yeah.
No,
but the movie's based on that test.
The Turing test.
Have you seen it?
No.
Y'all gotta watch it.
Yeah. So the Turing test is just like what they say is what determines whether something has like sentience or whether it's a person or not. And it's if you have a person and they have a chat with a robot and they have a chat with a real person, if they can't tell which one is real and which one is a robot, then that robot has passed the Turing test, is what they say. So,
let me just say, y'all should really go watch that movie. Really good movie.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about it, but yeah. So interesting. Definitely not sentient. It doesn't need rights because at one point it says like he says something about like, what do you like to do? And it's like, oh, I like to do something with friends and family, like go out and something with friends. Like, what does friend mean to you? What does family mean to? What's the distinction between the two? Because you're an AI that lives in a machine.
You're really insensitive. Very exclusive.
Hey.
Yeah, I just wish you guys had read that and like been scared, like, oh shit, yo, the AI's gonna kill us all. This thing's sentient and needs rights.
I'm not as fearful as him about AI.
No, not in general. That specific story, like, Google's Lambda it's a person. Like, I was hoping for that reaction so that I could like shit on you guys, but never mind. No slam dunking.
Definitely not.
Well, first of all, we don't commit to things like that. Like he said, we don't. We don't commit to the idea that it's real. It's just like, I think it could be. Right. It's not like, oh, this is definitely real.
Yeah.
Well, without any other information, if you just heard that there was a sentient AI, you might be a little concerned.
I could feel that.
You could be like,
But we really appreciate you coming through, bro. Thank you, man.
I appreciate you guys having me. Hopefully we do this again soon.
Definitely.
Yes, for sure. Where can I find you on social media, and where can I order your hot sauce?
Well, they already told us that.
You can order the hot sauce at Varacha.com. You can find Varacha on Instagram at Varacha.sauce. You can, if you are in the Central Florida area and you need some gutters on your house or some gutter guards, or if you have an enclosed patio that you have like to get built, have any dreams of a patio, you can go to flguttergurus.com. and hit us up. And yeah, that's pretty much everything.
Thank you, bro.
Awesome.
It's been a pleasure, bro. Till next time.
It was a pleasure.
As always,
That's a wrap.
Mill Guns out.
Mill Guns. Rap, baby.